It was a season of ups and downs for the Harwich Mariners, a team first led by its pitching. But in the second half, the bats came alive as they strolled into the postseason as a three-team in the East Division. But the playoffs are not the only goal for the Harwich Mariners as they look to go on a run deep into the postseason. The first team in their way, the Chatham Anglers, a divisional foe the Mariners were winless against in the regular season. But tonight, the Mariners look to change that as they send Ricky DeVito to the mound in Game 1. It's a first-round playoff matchup next on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back inside Veterans Field. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas and Zarella as the Harwich Mariners and Chatham Anglers are set to face off in the first round of the playoffs in 2018. Glad to have you with us this evening. And let's start all the way back last season for the Harwich Mariners. They had a tough season, were unable to make the playoffs. This year they bounced back and get in.
Yeah, no, they had a nice comeback this season. I think for Coach Young and the rest of this front office for the Harwich Mariners, it's a nice time to be a Harwich Mariners fan and a Harwich Mariners broadcaster, or anybody involved in the organization. And it's been an interesting year for the Mariners. They started off hot, and they were going around the the 1, 2, 3 spot in the East. Them and Harwich and YD were battling out for first place, but YD ultimately taking over. Harwich Mariners dropping a few games, had a couple poor streaks going on. They start going 3-7 a couple in the last 10 a couple times, but they did find their way into the playoffs, which is always a positive sign for a club. And they had their fair share of highs and lows, especially against some of the teams. Chatham 0-6 against YD 0-6, but then again 4-0 against Falmouth, who was a playoff team. They could have easily gotten a winning record against Wareham if they dropped a couple games in the late innings. Hyannis 0-4 against Orleans, 5-1 against Brewster, finishing at 4-2. So they had some winning records against certain teams, as some teams caused some havoc for them. And a lot of us do with sometimes the bats weren't there, and that's kind of been a problem the whole season is the offense. This is a team that is towards the bottom in some offensive categories, first in doubles, but again, it's the home run power and just getting guys in, and that's been the biggest problem. That's why the home runs would help if they can get 2 or 3 guys in with just one swing of the bat. Instead, this is the Mariners team that needs to collect hits together, need to get guys on, and try to drive those guys in. Now, that's been a problem for them this year. However, the pitching has been outstanding. They're second in the league in ERA, and they've really relied on the pitching more towards the early part of the season. It hasn't been so as solid as it was beginning. Obviously, Falmouth taking over in that ERA team leader. But again, the pitching's been really good on the mound, and Mariners have their ace and Ricky DeVito going today, and it should be a great pitching matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low-scoring game, but then again, with Mariners adding a couple more offensive bats and the Anglers coming on with their high-powered offense, we'd be surprised if it's a high-powering affair as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the new bats for the Harwich Mariners. A couple of them are making an appearance in the lineup. Alex Tappan, who's played once for the Harwich Mariners, played in the final game of the season, along with Stephen Passatempo. The two of them are making their, I guess, their second appearances now in Harwich, and they were both playing in the NECBL and played quite well there. How do you expect them to be able to transition from their time in the NECBL and make an impact right away in the Cape Cod League playoffs?
Well, both guys have some experience. Obviously, Tappan starting a lot of games back at UVA, but Passatempo played for Orleans last year. Orleans was the 2 seed in the East last year. So I mean, they have some experience. Tappan, obviously, playing in the ACC at Virginia. He's a guy that started 54 games. A guy that has a lot of experience under his belt. Not as much as some other guys here in the Cape. Other guys have already finished 2 years of college, but maybe not have played as much as Tappan. I mentioned before, Passatempo playing for Orleans. Obviously, Orleans didn't quite make it as far as they hoped for. Actually, they were the number 1 seed last year. Orleans was. So that was a really nice year for Kellen Nicholson and the Firebirds. They actually played the Chatham Anglers in the first round, defeating the Anglers 2-1 last year. So I think Passatempo can be a nice offensive bat. I mentioned he's got some pop in his bat that he showed back at the NECBL. So we'll see if he can try to continue that here tonight.
And then you mentioned some of the teams the Mariners did very well against in the postseason, whether it be teams like Falmouth or teams like Brewster and Orleans. But one of the teams the Mariners struggled against, and you can't avoid it, it was the Chatham Anglers. They were 0-6. We've mentioned the big inning a few times, and I think that was usually the driving factor in a lot of those losses.
Well, it definitely is, and that's what happens when Chatham has such a great offense. I mean, look at their lineup, top to bottom. It's a very dangerous lineup. It reminds me of a Blue Jays lineup from like a 2015 team where they had, Ben Revere leading off, Josh Donaldson batting second, Bautista third, Encarnacion fourth, Russell Martin fifth, and Tulowitzki sixth. This is almost as good as that of a lineup. Obviously, different scenarios. But I mean, those two lineups just together. I mean, you look at the lineup for Chatham right now. You know, Blake Sable, a really good hitter, batting first. Bush, a power guy, batting second. Torkelson batting third. I mean, he was a guy that has hit 5 home runs in the first 12 games of the Cape. Colin Simpson, Tristan English, John Rave. It goes on and on and on. I mean, when you have a guy like Greg Jones batting 7th, this is a guy you can put him on another Cape League team, and he could probably be your leadoff guy. I mean, this is just how deep this Chatham lineup is, and that's why it can cause those big innings sometimes. And that's me a key for the Mariners today in their pitching, their bullpen starting pitching, is just that they're going to have to try to limit those big innings, and it's awfully hard, especially when you're starting pitcher. You'll have to see a lineup 2 or 3 times, so that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Angler doesn't keep DeVito in for as long. Remember here he had his worst outing of the season, 3 2/3, gave up 6 runs, and that's just what happens when the lineup gets to see a guy multiple times. And I wouldn't be surprised if Angler only keeps, DeVito 3-4 innings, and keep another guy in there, keep him maybe 2 innings, because it's tough when you see the lineup a couple times and they start to figure you out.
I was sort of under the opposite impression, to be quite honest. I was sort of in the thought column that DeVito may go deep into tonight's ball game. We may see him for 5, 6, 7 innings and see just how well he could do before handing it off to one of the top relievers the Mariners have seen, just to give the Mariners that great chance. If DeVito is rolling, I think the Mariners are going to have a hard time taking him out.
Well, that's a high-risk, high-reward thing, because if DeVito runs into trouble, let's say in an inning, you keep him out there for just a bit too long, and then you go to the bullpen. We've seen this times this year where some guys in the bullpen in high-leverage situations just haven't been able to close the door. Now, there have been some guys who have done so, but again, it's playoff baseball, and that's what managers are so experienced in, is when to keep a guy in, when to take him out, And obviously, Coach Angert knows his catcher and his pitchers very well, and he relies on both those guys. So we'll see what he goes with today.
And then before we finish things up here, we have to talk. You mentioned Ricky DeVito. He's taking on Austin Bergner tonight. It should be a good pitching matchup between the two guys. Bergner had a great year last year on Cape Cod, and this year he's been pretty good as well.
Yeah, I know that DeVito last pitched on July 27th, so he's had about almost a week or so layoff. So it's been a while for him. But again, he's pitched outstanding this whole year, went 1-1 with a 2.45 ERA. He did make a couple appearances from the bullpen. He's making his 6th start today, and he's been brilliant over the last couple of innings. 2 of his last 3 starts, he's given up no runs, or at least unearned runs. He gave one unearned run back in Brewster, but his last time out against Bourne, and he pitched pretty well. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned in a victory against Bourne. And that's a lineup has a couple guys in it. We're talking about Spencer Brickhouse, a guy who some consider one of the better Cape League prospects out here, a guy that was the MVP of the All-Star game, able to keep him a little bit at bay. And DeVito, we'll see what he has today. Obviously, mentioned before, got a little roughed up against Chatham. That was probably his worst start of the season, but I'm excited to see what DeVito has. I mean, you talk about a guy that's stricken out 21 over his last 17 innings, including a 10 punch-out game against Falmouth. And, I mean, we're talking about a Falmouth lineup that has been one of the better offenses over the second half of the season.
It has been one of the better offenses, and he did shut them down. And he's pitched, only allowed 2 earned runs over his last 17 innings of work. DeVito has looked very, very good. And there are a couple players to watch. You already ran through the majority of the Chatham lineup, and there are so many names up and down that order. But if there are a couple of names to watch for both teams, I'd say, who do you look for? 2 guys in particular from both teams.
Well, I think Sable, just because he's been one of the hottest hitters on Cape, and he's a leadoff hitter as well. And that's what needs to succeed. The leadoff hitter needs to get on. So you get to those 2, 3, 4 spot guys. You need him to get on. Him and Bush, the 1-2 guys, to get on in order to get to those power hitters, so they can try to drive and runs in the bunches. But I'm also going to go guy at the bottom of the order as well, and that is going to be Greg Jones, a shortstop out of UNC Wilmington. This guy can absolutely fly around the bases, and if he can get on, we've seen a couple of Chatham games as well here where they get those guys on and then they flip it over the top of the order. If those 7, 8, 9 guys can still do damage against this Mariners pitching, it could be a long night for Mariners pitchers. And then I would say probably for the Mariners, they're going to need to rely on not only we've talked about the 1 through 3 guys, Moore, Shunk, Lipsius, but I think Alex Tappan can be an interesting case for the Mariners. He's a guy that had a couple RBIs against Brewster last game, drove in 2 just off a single, and he went 2 for 3 in that game with a walk. So he reached base 3 out of 4 plate appearances. So I'm excited to see what Tappan can bring to this Mariners lineup.
So we'll step aside for the national anthem and be back with the first pitch. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Kangas and Ellie O'Reilly. Jen is a former Chatham Athletic Association board member who, along with her mother, has been hosting players since 1992. The Kangases have hosted more than 60 players, with many going on to professional baseball careers. Ellie has grown up going to Anglers games and is in her second summer of interning for the team. She sings in her a cappella group, The Callbacks, at Cornell, and sang the national anthem for all high school home baseball games. With tonight's national anthem, Jen Kangas and Ellie O'Reilly.
Welcome back inside Veterans Field. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Cinzarella. We're just moments away from the first pitch between the Harwich Mariners and the Chatham Anglers in the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs. And Thomas, take us around the diamond for the Chatham Anglers.
Starting out in left field, it is the Trojan Blake Sable, John Rave from Illinois State out in center, Spencer Torkelson over in right field, Jorge Arenas at third base, Greg Jones at shortstop, Michael Bush over at second, English at first base, and McCann doing the catching this evening for Austin Bergner.
And now the starting lineup for the Harwich Mariners. Batting first and playing shortstop Tanner Morris. Batting second, playing third base Aaron Schunk. Batting third, the first baseman Andre Lipsy, the cleanup hitter. And he's playing right field, Alex Tappan. Batting fifth, the catcher Logan Driscoll. Batting sixth, the center fielder Nate Eichhoff. Batting seventh, the designated hitter Stephen Passatempo. Batting eighth, the second baseman Danny Casals. Closing out the order and playing center field is Ben Norman as Tanner Morris digs in from the left side. The first pitch from Bergner. This is upstairs in the count 1-0. We've talked a little bit about Bergner before the game. He had an outstanding year last season. He's been very good this season.
He's a guy that can go very deep. Has pitched 5+ innings in every single start this year.
1-0 delivery, fastball on the inside corner, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike on Tanner Morris.
I mean, he's gone 5 innings, which is the lowest. 5 2/3, 6 innings, and 6 innings. All in all, 4 prior starts.
1-1 pitch misses outside. Count 2 balls and 1 strike on Morris. Tanner Morris, the leadoff hitter in tonight's ball game. The 2-1 pitch, fastball upstairs. Count 3-1.
It's interesting. Bergner has the when he's about to pitch, he starts flapping the outside of the glove, something that I remember Francisco Rodriguez or K-Rod used to do.
3-1 pitch misses upstairs and outside. It's a leadoff walk to Tanner Morris. And Tanner Morris was the team MVP. And he looked very good in his final game, justifying the award. He went 3 for 3 and then starts off the playoff game with a walk.
He actually ended up finishing up 5th in the league in average. So that's well-deserved for the team award for Tanner Morris.
Morris leads off first base. Aaron Shunk digs in from the right side. No outs in the top of the first inning. Scoreless ball game as the first pitch is cut on and fouled off to the screen behind home plate. Count 0-1 on Shunk.
And it's interesting, Austin Bergner out of North Carolina. He's a guy that actually takes care of the mound here at Veterans Field before every home game. He fills it in a couple hours before the team gets here.
The 0-1 pitch cut on and fouled off the mitt of McCann, the catcher for the Chatham Anglers tonight. Count no balls and 2 strikes on Aaron Shunk.
So if the team gets here at 2, he's basically here at noon. And he did it last year as well with one of his other Angler teammates and UNC Tar Heel last year. So he's carried on the tradition this year. We'll have to see who might do it next year for Chatham with Bergner more than likely leaving.
Morris leads off first, no outs. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball misses above the letters in the count 1-2. There were some new warm-up batting practice t-shirts given to the team for the playoffs. So they wear different jerseys for batting practice than they are for the regular game. The 1-2 pitch, breaking ball cut on and missed. And there's one away. Mariners are in their blue, normally what they wear for the batting practice. They have a couple of different road jerseys.
It's like their alternate road jerseys. They obviously have the gray ones with the Harwich Mariners H logo.
And they also have these blue ones with just the M and the star. So one away, runner on first base. The Anglers are in their blue jerseys with the pinstripes as Bergner fires back over to first base. Morris dives back in safely. 1 out, top of the first inning, scoreless game between the Mariners and the Anglers. The first pitch to Lipsius on the inside corner for strike 1.
And Lipsius is a guy that has struggled against the Mariners this year. Although he has 2 long balls, he's only hitting .238 against the Anglers pitching.
The 0-1 pitch. Fastball misses upstairs in the count. 1 ball and 1 strike. Morris off first base. The 1-1 delivery to Andre Lipsius. Cut on and missed with a breaking ball. The count 1-2. Scoreboard out in left field had it at 2-1. But the home plate umpire tonight, Jeff Merzel, corrects it. It is 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 pitch misses low and in the dirt, and the count 2-2.
Especially here in the playoffs, it is 4 umpires, which usually on a Cape League game we see 3, but higher stakes here. They added the extra one just like the major leagues.
Bergner comes set. The 2-2 pitch to Lipsius, swung on and fouled off down the right field side, out of play. We'll take you through the umpires at home plate. As I mentioned, Jeff Merzel over at first base, Rick Antonio. Second base, Jim Fonseca. And the third base umpire tonight, Larry Rosenberg.
And now with 4 umpires, the crew chief is Jeff Merzel, the home plate umpire.
Runner goes, the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and fouled off down the right field side, out of play once again, and the count remains 2-2. Morris looked to get quite a nice jump. Would have been in safely at second base, but important for Andre Lipsius to protect the plate as he stays alive. The 2-2 delivery misses low into the dirt, and the count 3 balls and 2 strikes on Lipsius. Morris off first base, 1 away in the top of the first inning, a scoreless game from Veterans Field. And the cleanup hitter, Alex Tappan, stands on deck. The 3-2 pitch to Lipsius, swung on, and a one-hopper over towards first base, fielded by the first baseman English. He'll step on the bag, and there are 2 away. Morris advances over to second base, 2 away in the top of the first.
And Morris was running on the pitch, and no play for the first baseman English over at second. Morris is already at the bag, so just takes himself over to first base.
So it'll be Morris off of second base. There's a meeting at the mound between the catcher McCann and the starting pitcher Austin Bergner. It'll be Alex Tappan out of UVA. Tappan was both the cleanup hitter and the 5-hitter for the Cavaliers. Traded spots with fellow Mariner Nate Eichhoff. Morris off second base. First pitch, fastball misses inside for ball 1. Morris trying to distract the pitcher Bergner as he's jumping back and forth, catching his attention. The 1-0 delivery. Breaking ball just clips the outside corner, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike on Alex Tappan.
McCann going out to Bergner before might too warm because Tappan's only making his second Cape League appearance, and Bergner just hasn't faced the Mariners at all this year.
1-1 pitch misses low in the count, 2-1. Bergner out of UNC though, and as fellow ACC foes, I'm sure Bergner has at least seen UVA in one way or another over the past 2 seasons. Home plate umpire Jeff Merzel calls time. With 2 outs in the top of the first inning, the 2-1 pitch swung on and fouled off towards the right field side. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes on Tappan. The top of the first inning, a scoreless game from Veterans Field. The 2-2 pitch. Fastball just misses inside, and the count goes full at 3-2.
Good pitch there by Bergner. He's missed a couple times just by a hair. We saw against Aaron Shunk a pitch that just missed the upper part of the zone, and this one just misses on Tappan.
Bergner comes set, gets a sign from McCann. Morris off second, 2 outs. The payoff pitch swung on and fouled off. And the count remains 3-2. Harwich Mariners looking to take a lead in the top of the first inning with a runner in scoring position, but 2 away. And Shunk will step out for a second and digs back in now as the pitcher. Bergner will call time. Would like a new baseball, and he will get one from the home plate umpire Merzel. Bergner comes set, 3-2 pitch to Tappan. Swung on and fouled off once again. Tappan works a very long at-bat on Bergner.
We saw Lipsius as well foul off a couple tough pitches. And now Tappan doing the same here, back-to-back hitters on full counts against Bergner. Get to see a lot of pitches. Show your other teammates his full arsenal almost.
The 3-2 once again, swung on, line drive into right field. Morris getting waved around third. The throw to the plate is cut off. The Mariners take a 1-0 lead in the top of the first inning. A base hit from Alex Tappan puts them on top.
And that was just a nice piece of hitting there by Tappan. A pitch that was towards the inside of the hands, gets the hands early and able to slice that ball through the hole on the right side. And coming around to score was Tanner Morris as Pasquarello right away, wave him around to home, and there was no throw over towards home plate. So that's a big RBI as well. The Mariners again scoring the first run can always be key to a victory, especially when it comes to playoffs.
So it's Tappan off first base, a 1-0 Mariners lead in the top of the first inning. And now it's Logan Driscoll, the catcher, who digs in from the left side. First pitch fastball misses outside, and the count 1-0.
Driscoll, another one of those guys that's been really up and coming. Although he's over his last 7.
The 1-0 delivery. Fastball below the knees, and the count 2-0.
And even though he's got that over 7 number in that home-and-home series against Brewster, I mean, there are a lot of hard hit balls in both those games that just didn't quite find the outfield grass. We've seen his swing just improve a lot over this summer, and it's nice to see it all come together in the playoffs.
The Mariners have worked a deep pitch count versus Bergner tonight. On a couple of very deep at-bats, Morris worked a quick walk, but it was a long at-bat to Schunk, another long at-bat to Lipsius, and then finally a big hit after a very long at-bat versus Alex Tappan. First pitch, or the 2-0 pitch, I beg your pardon, to Logan Driscoll is cut on and fouled off the catcher McCann. Count 2 balls and 1 strike on the left-handed hitter. So now it's Tappan off first with 2 outs. 1-0 Mariners in the top of the first. The 2-1 delivery, cut on and missed. The count 2-2. Really nice pitch from Bergner as he blows it right by Driscoll.
Yeah, it was an off-speed pitch, and Driscoll just looked like he was over that pitch. Bergner doing a nice job to come back after being down. The count 2-0.
The 2-2 offering. Swung on, a high fly ball into right field. The right fielder Torkelson takes 1 step back and makes the catch for the final out of the inning, but not before the Mariners strike once and lead this game 1-0. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the first inning from Veterans Field, Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. It's a 1-0 Harwich Mariners lead after an RBI single from Alex Tappan. And take us around the diamond for the Harwich Mariners, Thomas.
Starting out in left field is Nate Eichhoff. Ben Norman in center. Over in right is Alex Tappan. At third base is Aaron Shunk. Tanner Morse at shortstop. Over at second base is Danny Casals. Andre Lipsius getting the start at first. And doing the catching is Logan Driscoll for the starting pitcher, Ricky DeVito.
And leading off for the Chatham Anglers is Blake Sable. He's playing left field, batting second, and playing second base is Michael Bush. Batting third, the right fielder Spencer Torkelson. Batting fourth, the designated hitter Colin Simpson. Batting fifth and playing first base, Tristan English. Batting sixth, the center fielder John Ray. Batting seventh and playing shortstop, Greg Jones. Batting eighth, the catcher Kyle McCann. And closing out the order and playing third base is Jorge Arenas. So Blake Sable, who leads the team in average, digs in from the left side. First pitch swung on, a high pop-up. Foul and out of play, and the count 0-1 on Sable.
Sable just one of those guys that has found a lot of success this year against Mariners pitching.
And the 0-1 delivery misses in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Blake Sable hit .340. This season for the Chatham Anglers had an OPS of 1025. The 1-1 pitch cut on, a high pop-up once again in foul ground. Third baseman Shunk gives chase in front of the Anglers dugout and makes the catch for the first out of the inning.
Oh, nice job by the Mariners making some communication down there over towards in front of the Anglers bench. It's a big out. Oh, he's retiring Sable, a guy that is sometimes very difficult to retire, and Mariners getting the first man out here in the first.
And this order gets harder as you go along. It is really basically no easy spot in that Anglers order as Michael Bush digs in from the left side. First pitch swung on, a line drive into left center field for a base hit. Ben Norman cuts it off before it reaches the wall. Now regains his footing, digging to second base is Bush. He's in safely.
No, yeah, that was a hard hit ball by Bush. I thought it could have been a long single, but Norman had so much momentum going towards left center, towards the wall. He had to turn his body to throw that ball in and just got a little tangled up out there with the spikes. And Bush is able to take second base, and it's a big hit here for the Anglers. Now they have a runner on in scoring position with only one down.
It's a really big hit for the Chatham Anglers because not only does Michael Bush put a runner in scoring position, but you're coming up on guys like Spencer Torkelson, who led college baseball in home runs, and the four-hitter Colin Simpson, who hit .435 in the second half. First pitch to Torkelson. Breaking ball on the outside corner for strike one. 1-0 Mariners in the bottom of the first inning. One away and a runner on second base. DeVito gets a sign from Driscoll. The 0-1 pitch, breaking ball at the knees for strike two. Count 0-2 on Torkelson.
Yeah, Torkelson, a guy that went 1 for 3 with a pair of RBIs in the victory on July 31st. He's a guy that's in BP. He somehow finds a way every time to connect the barrel to the ball.
The 0-2 pitch from DeVito, swung on and missed. Struck him out. There are two away in the bottom of the first inning. A nasty curveball from DeVito, and Torkelson goes down swinging.
And DeVito just has that stuff, that swing and miss stuff. We see if he can establish that fastball, get to that curveball. That curveball can make a lot of guys look silly. And going back to Bourne where he last pitched, I mean, I remember Cooper Johnson just got fooled by a curveball. He's a catcher for Ole Miss. He was just shaking his head walking out of the batter's box. He knows when DeVito's stuff is good.
Spencer Torkelson's bat has cooled down a bit recently as the first pitch to the four-hitter, Colin Simpson, misses upstairs. Torkelson now just 4 for his last 27 at the plate. Left-handed hitter, Simpson digs back in. Runner on second base, 2 outs. The 1-0 pitch, breaking ball, cut on and missed. A pitch in the dirt, and they count 1-1. We documented the 2 different seasons that Colin Simpson had. They're not actually a different season, but they virtually are. Because in the first half, Simpson hit under 150. In the second half, over 430. DeVito gets a sign from Driscoll. The 1-1 pitch, breaking ball, swung on and fouled off to the backstop in the count 1-2.
And Now with DeVito hitting the count, he'll probably maybe go back to that curveball. There's threw one there, but fouling it off was Simpson, so we can obviously see a fastball elevated up in the zone. Go to that curveball in the dirt where Simpson can't touch it.
Well, DeVito has powerful stuff. He can throw hard, and he's got the good breaking ball. The 1-2 pitch swung on and fouled off over the third base side out of play, and the count remains 1-2.
And go back to DeVito. He's a guy that had the lowest ERA in the Big East and fourth in the nation with a .33. His ERA in Big East play was .75, under 1, which was good for obviously the best in the Big East play. Guy out of Seton Hall.
The 1-2 pitch swung on, and a ground ball in fair territory right in front of Driscoll. He'll field, toss over to first, and all of a sudden we're going to get a time call, or possibly a foul ball call by the first base umpire, Rick Antonio. That was after the home plate umpire, Jeff Merzel, called it a fair ball. And then the first base umpire, Rick Antonio, reverses that call, puts his hands up as to say time, but I believe the call is foul that he's making over there at first base.
Yeah, it's a big call here. It's either the Mariners are out of this inning or the inning will continue. Or by the way of going back to the plate, would it be Colin Simpson? That's why there's 4 umpires here towards the playoffs, because a lot of close calls like this. Now you get an extra opinion for a guy over at third base, not just a guy at first and behind the pitcher's mound. So
it was
helps out a bit.
Very important call, as you mentioned, putting Colin Simpson back in the batter's box with a runner on second base and 2 outs.
It's a long discussion here as well, so there could be a difference of opinions.
The ultimate question, I believe, has to be, did that ball deflect off of Colin Simpson at any time? Because if it did, the ball is dead. But there would be no other reason for that ball to be a foul ball unless it deflected off of Simpson's foot or his leg or somewhere else. There really would be no other reason it could be a foul ball because it was in fair territory when the catcher Driscoll fielded it.
Also, too, if you're a hitter and you know if it fouls off yourself, why would you run down the first base line as well if Colin Simpson was running over towards first base? So, I mean, that's another thing, too.
And the call on the field is overturned. It's out number 3. The home plate umpire and crew chief, Jeff Merzel, makes the call. That ends the bottom of the first inning. At the end of 1 inning of play, it's the Mariners 1 and the Anglers 0. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back inside Veterans Field. Top of the second inning, Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Zinzarella. As it's the 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up for the Harwich Mariners, they look to extend that 1-run lead. The first pitch to Eichhoff is swung on a high pop-up towards the left side of the infield. The shortstop Jones calls off the third baseman Arenas and makes the catch for the first out of the inning.
The designated hitter from the University of Massachusetts Lowell, number 12, Steve Passatempo.
And Steven Passatempo, just out of the NECBL. And he played on Cape Cod last year with the Orleans Firebirds. hit 4 home runs and did a lot of his damage actually against the Harwich Mariners. And then this year in the NECBL hit 11 home runs. As the first pitch is a fastball, misses inside for ball 1 on Passatempo. The 1-0 pitch. This is upstairs once again in the count, 2 balls and no strikes.
Bergner so far at the fastball been around 93, 94. As well as both pitchers as well. DeVito touching 96, but
2-0 delivery. Fastball outside corner in the count, 2-1, and that's what the scouts like to see. That high velocity, it means a lot in this league. Because when you look at Major League Baseball, you don't see a lot of guys throwing under 92 miles an hour. You'll see a few of them, but not so frequently. As the 2-1 pitch is a foul tip into the mitt of McCann, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Especially with some of the pitching being down this year, and many people are saying, especially the ERA going north of 4, the league ERA for the first time since 2010. This is a good pitching matchup here tonight. 2 future guys who could go high in the draft.
2-2 pitch misses outside, and the count runs full at 3-2. Looked like McCann may have thought he had gotten that pitch, but from our angle, it looked quite outside. Well, the count is full at 3-2, 1 out. Top of the second inning, a 1-0 Mariners lead. 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, struck him out. Passatempo goes down swinging. There are 2 away in the top of the second.
Bergner picking up his second strikeout, a guy that has been around the 6-7 mark for most of the season per game of how many guys he strikes out. Again, 26 punch outs and 22 and 2/3 innings pitch. So he has that strikeout stuff.
It's Danny Casals, who is in the 8th spot tonight. He digs in from the right side. First pitch, breaking ball, misses below the knees for ball 1. And while the league stats may be up offensively, the Harwich Mariners were not able to produce a lot of home runs this season, as the 1-0 offering is cut on and fouled off, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, no, definitely the Mariners, again, just the power, the amount of home runs that they just haven't been there this year for the Mariners. I believe they're at about 11 or 12 home runs this year in 44 games.
The 1-1 pitch from Bergner. Fastball outside corner, count 1-2.
However, this is a guy in Danny Casals who has a lot of power. He has 3 home runs on the year. The leader is Andre Lipsius with 4.
The 1-2 offering. On the outside corner for strike 3. A beautiful pitch from Bergner, clipping the outside corner. And it's a 1-2-3 top of the second from Bergner. 1-0 Mariners at the end of 1.5. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the second inning from Veterans Field, Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. It's 1-0 Mariners. The Mariners scored that run back in the top of the first inning. After a Tanner Morris walk, he advanced the second on a ground out from Lipsius and scored on an RBI single from Alex Tappan. First pitch to Tristan English is swung on and fouled off over the Harwich Mariners dugout, and the count 0-1 on the right-handed hitter.
English, a guy that's a two-way player. We saw him pitch against the Mariners, picking up the win on the July 31st.
And the 0-1 pitch misses for ball one, and the count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 offering cut on and missed, and DeVito ahead in the count 1-2.
It's also important for the Mariners to score a run. They've been outscored in this series 34-20 in 6 games.
1-2 pitch, breaking ball, looked awfully good, but DeVito does not get the benefit of the doubt from Jeff Merzel.
I can tell you the curveball is working right now for DeVito. He's nibbling.
2-2 pitch, swung on and missed, struck him out. His second strikeout of the game as he gets Tristan English swinging. There's one away in the bottom of the second.
Well, so far this first time almost a run with, through the heart of the lineup. DeVito has done it almost with ease besides the double for Michael Bush.
And the first pitch on the inside corner to the left-handed hitter, John Rave. Rave out in center field this evening. He's followed by Greg Jones, the speedster who's over at shortstop. 0-1 pitch, breaking ball swung on and missed by Rave in the count 0-2.
And that's what can happen, and if you attack a hitter early with the fastball, gets the first pitch strike, which is always important. Then he goes to the off-speed, look like a changeup there.
And the 0-2 delivery misses low and inside with a curveball in the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Base path's empty, 1 away in the bottom of the second. 1-0 Mariners. As the 1-2 pitch swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts from DeVito on a beautiful breaking ball to get Rave swinging. There are 2 away in the bottom of the second inning.
That's now 3 punch-outs in an inning and 2/3. DeVito is looking, he's dazzling right now, and in order to survive in this high-powered offensive Cape League, you got to attack hitters, and DeVito so far has done so. That first pitch strike is what he needs to do.
And the first pitch misses upstairs and inside to Greg Jones for ball 1. And this is an important at-bat, not only because you don't want to allow a base runner on with 2 outs, but Greg Jones is the best base runner on Cape Cod as the 1-1 pitch clips the inside corner, count 1-1. He leads Cape Cod with 20 stolen bases. The only player on any team other than Chatham who is second would be at 11. So he leads that league by a large margin. 1-1 pitch is a curveball in there for strike 2. The 1-2 pitch from DeVito. Fastball misses outside, and the count even at 2-2. So you don't want to allow someone like Greg Jones on base because even a walk and he could wreak havoc on the base paths. 2-2 delivery, breaking ball inside, and the count 3-2 now on Greg Jones.
He's also a guy that's hitting 7 for 16 against the Mariners. 1 of 2 anglers hit over 400, the other being Blake Sable.
Basically a payoff pitch. Misses outside, and the Mariners walk Greg Jones. We mentioned it, how lethal he can be on the base path. As Kyle McCann, the catcher in tonight's ball game, digs in from the left side. The only place in the Anglers order where you're not facing off against a guy who is outstanding is that 8 and 9 area. Not that McCann and Arenas can't do anything offensively. Their numbers are in the low 200s. It's just that the guys 1 through 7, well, they're just outstanding. And the first pitch from DeVito. This is upstairs and inside, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. Jones leads off first base. The 1-0 pitch, fastball low into the dirt, and the count 2 balls and no strikes. Jones has himself a healthy lead over at first base. I don't think anybody would be at all surprised if he steals. I think I'd be more surprised if he doesn't go. Given that there are 2 outs, he wants to probably put himself in scoring position.
That's why DeVito's got to keep a keen eye On him over at first base. Logan Driscoll is going to be ready to throw down.
And a easy toss over to first base from DeVito just to chase Jones back to the bag. And DeVito has struggled a little bit with his control over the last two batters. He was ahead in the count to Jones, ended up walking, now behind in the count 2-0. Now the 2-0 pitch is swung on, a high pop-up, foul behind home plate, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. McCann restraps his batting gloves and digs back in from the left side. Two away in the bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Mariners. Runner on first base, 2 outs. The 2-1 pitch. Fastball swung on, a high fly ball to deep left field. Eichhoff going back to the track, to the wall. You can say goodbye. A go-ahead 2-run home run off the bat of Kyle McCann. And the Anglers jump on top 2-1.
That's a big shot there from McCann, especially with 2 outs, and that's what can happen when you walk a couple guys on. Only obviously being one in Greg Jones, but the 2-out walk comes to hurt Ricky DeVito.
Now batting for Chatham, the third baseman from Stetson, number 49, Jorge.
Well, it's the only spot in the order in which there aren't a lot of batters who are hitting way over 200. And it's the 8 guy, Kyle McCann, who comes up big to hurt Ricky DeVito and the Harwich Mariners as the Anglers are on top 2-1. And the first pitch to Jorge Arenas, the right-handed hitter. He shows bunt and takes the pitch on the outside corner, count 0-1. Anglers now lead this ball game 2-1 in the bottom of the second inning. Live from Veterans Field in Game 1 of the first round of the Cape Cod Baseball League Series. As the 0-1 pitch is swung on and laced out towards right center field. Ben Norman comes in to cut that ball off and keep Arenas at a single. And all of a sudden, the Chatham Anglers have had 3 straight base runners, including a 2-run home run.
And this is where DeVito has to buckle down out there. That's why the catcher Logan Driscoll going out to talk to DeVito. He's got to buckle down and not have this inning snowball into bigger things for the Anglers.
And I beg your pardon. DeVito looked outstanding through 1 2/3. He strikes out English, who's one of the more dangerous hitters in the Anglers order. And then he strikes out Rave afterwards. Ahead of the count to Greg Jones, ends up walking him. Then Kyle McCann hits an opposite field 2-run home run before Arenas singles into right center field. Runner on first base, 2 outs, bottom of the second, 2-1 Anglers. And it's going to be important to see if Ricky DeVito can fight through this inning and work deeper into this game, because if he can get through this inning and get another out here and then work well for the next couple of innings, allowing 2 runs in a start's not so bad as the first pitch misses low for ball 1, count 1-0.
Now, if he can get over that 2-run home run, still pitch a couple 4 or 5 innings scoreless after this, still not a bad outing.
And the 1-0 pitch, breaking ball, cut on and miss. Sable was way off balance, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, no, definitely way off balance, going down to 1 knee as Blake Sable just swung right through that curveball.
DeVito comes set, runner on first base, 2 outs. The 1-1 pitch cut on and fouled off over towards the Mariners dugout, and the count 1-2. It was a 1-0 Chatham. It was a 1-0 Harwich Mariners lead coming into this inning after Morris walked, and there was a ground out to advance him over to second base before Alex Tappan singled up the middle or singled into right field to give the Mariners that 1-0 lead. But the 1-2 pitch swung on and fouled off over towards the Mariners dugout. Arenas was stealing on the pitch, forced to head back over towards first base. But here in the bottom of the second inning, after a walk to Greg Jones, Kyle McCann hit a 2-run home run, and now Jorge Arenas off first base. The 1-2 pitch Cut on and fouled off behind home plate. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And again, Arenas going on the pitch prior to that. Maybe 2 outs, just trying to put a guy in motion with maybe a hit and run, and because anything that can drop in for a base hit, score run.
1-2 pitch, swung on and fouled off to the screen behind home plate. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. And of course, we talk about pitch count. And pitch count is always the big word in regards to pitchers here on Cape Cod. A lot of pitchers kept to an 85 pitch count. And if you run deep into an inning, it's going to hurt you. You're not going to be able to go as deep in a ball game as you would like, as the 1-2 pitch runs outside to Sable on the count 2-2.
That's why I have to keep an eye down on the Mariners bullpen most of this game, see how long Angler wants guys to go on pitch counts or just feel for the game.
The 2-2 pitch, runner goes, swung on and fouled off over towards the Mariners dugout. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think Arenas is going to get pretty tired down there over at first base. That's the 3rd time now that he's run. And it's been fouled off by Sable. I think it was again. I don't know. He might need might need some Gatorade or something down there.
The 2-2 pitch from DeVito, swung on and fouled off behind home plate. And stuff that DeVito is getting swings and misses on earlier in this inning even. I feel like the Chatham Anglers are getting a piece of everything.
Well, that's what happened. We see a lot of pitches, guys from not only at the plate, but also on the bench too, relaying some messages about what he can throw, when he might want to throw it.
Well, Sable steps back in from the left side. The 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed, struck him out. After a very long inning and 2 runs cross home plate for the Chatham Anglers. It's a 2-1 Chatham lead at the end of 2. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Mariners Baseball is brought to you in part by Chatham Bars Inn, a proud member of leading hotels of the world. Cape Cod Healthcare, quality hospitals, superior care. And Curry College. For more information, visit www.curry.edu. Top of the 3rd inning from Veterans Field. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Zinzarella, and the Chatham Anglers scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 2nd and now lead this ball game 2-1. It's the 9-1-2 hitters due up for the Harwich Mariners. Ben Norman, Tanner Morris, and Aaron Schunk. First pitch from Austin Bergner misses upstairs for ball 1, and the count 1-0.
Now Bergner in his 3rd inning of work, he's been facing this order for a 2nd time with Morris on deck and Schunk in the hole. We'll see if they can adjust the 2nd time around.
The 1-0 delivery to Norman is swung on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate, and the count 1-1.
especially now with the Yangers taking the lead here in the third inning. We'll see if the Mariners going to try to keep it up and put a run back on the board.
1-1 delivery misses low to Norman, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike.
Good. That's what the Mariners don't want to do, is play catch up all night long, and just by retying things back up, it makes it a whole new ball game.
And the 2-1 delivery misses below the knees in the count. 3 balls and 1 strike on Ben Norman, who has a 6-game hit streak and has reached base in 8 consecutive games. The 3-1 offering. Swung on and missed at a pitch low and inside. A really nice breaking ball from Austin Bergner, and it shows the confidence he has in that pitch. That he's not afraid to throw a pitch out of the strike zone on 3-1 because he knows how likely it is he's going to get a swing and a miss.
Well, he has a lot of confidence by throwing it when he's behind in the count as well.
3-2 pitch. Fastball at the knees for strike 3. Norman thought he may have had a walk, but it clipped the outside corner according to Jeff Merzel. And it is 3 consecutive strikeouts dating back to last inning from Austin Bergner.
And it's 4 on the evening. You just mentioned before, 3 of them coming against the last 3 hitters. So Bergner really feeling it on the mound right now. And then that's all it's about. It's about confidence on the mound, and nobody has any more than him.
First pitch to the leadoff hitter, Tanner Morris, misses upstairs for ball 1. Tanner Morris was named the team MVP before the start of game number 44. The 1-0 delivery. Fastball inside corner, and the count 1-1. The 1, 2, and 3 hitters all earning an award. While Morris won the award for team MVP as the 1-1 pitch on the outside corner for strike 2, count 1-2. Aaron Shunk won an award for being a member of the community and really helping everybody out in that sense. And Andre Lipsius won the 10th man award. It was an interesting award for Lipsius because I think of him more than just as a 10th man, as a 1-2 pitch misses low, count 2 balls and 2 strikes. He's somebody who's been in the lineup every day out of Tennessee. You know, he's somebody who is highly relied upon, or heavily relied upon, for the Harwich Mariners. Usually I think the 10th man is that guy who comes through and that sort of sense. I feel like Lipsius was even more than that this season, but he won the 10th man award. And those 3 guys have been a staple in the top of the order. The 2-2 pitch cut on, a ground ball over towards second base. It's fielded by Bush. He'll toss over to first, and there are 2 away.
And Bergner continues to pitch well on the mound. That is now 6 in a row retired. He hasn't allowed a base runner since that first inning when the Mariners were able to scratch across a run, and that was the tap-in single. That's the last man to reach base safely for the Mariners.
Well, Aaron Shunk digs in from the right side. Base path's empty, 2 outs. 2-1 Chatham in the top of the 3rd. First pitch to Shunk is swung on. A weak ground ball foul down the first base side. Count 0-1.
And Shunk's another guy that has been a very important piece to this lineup for the Mariners. 3 of the 6 games against the Yangers, he's recorded an RBI, and that's what it always felt like for a while for Aaron Shunk, a guy that just rattled off the RBIs. A guy that had 9 straight games with an RBI earlier in the season.
The 0-1 pitch to Shunk, breaking ball misses inside, and the count 1-1. And he hit a bit of a low spot in the middle of July, and he wasn't swinging the bat the same way he was earlier in July, and then came alive once again in late July into early August as the 1-1 pitch misses below the knees in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, and a lot of it could be had it done with the All-Star game. You know, when you're playing that type of environment, able to collect the base hit against some of the best pitching in the league. I mean, there's a lot of pitchers that are great in this league, but I mean, you're pitching the best of the best. And Shunk, as a line went down the left field line for a base hit back at White House.
2-1 pitch cut on, and a foul ball down the third base line as he fouls it off of his inner ankle, right where that pad is. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch to Shunk. On the outside corner for strike 3. Shunk didn't like the call, but he's called out on strikes by Jeff Merzel to end the top half of the 3rd inning. At the end of 2.5, it's 2-1 Chatham. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Bottom of the 3rd inning from Veterans Field, a 2-1 Chatham Anglers lead. They took the lead in the bottom of the 2nd inning as they put up a 2 spot off of a 2-run home run from the left-handed hitter, Kyle McCann. And the first pitch runs upstairs and inside and hits Michael Bush. And there's a runner on first base with no outs, and you have to wonder what's going to happen with Ricky DeVito. He's somebody who had his command and was pitching very well for the 1st inning and 2/3. Hit as high as 97 miles per hour with the fastball. And now he's running into trouble after he walked a batter, allowed a home run and a single in the 2nd, and now leads things off with the hit batsman. As the first pitch to Spencer Torkelson is a breaking ball just low for ball 1.
And this is where the start has to get a little grit and grindy. We've seen DeVito work out of jams before, and it doesn't help when you hit the first batter you see in an inning. But again, DeVito has been in these situations before.
1-0 delivery, breaking ball misses inside, and the count 2 balls and no strikes. We haven't seen a lot of guys hit as high as 97, but DeVito did that earlier this evening. Only pitchers you've really seen do that are Joe Boyle, hit as high as 100 back in Katuitt, but for the Harwich Mariners, it was just Freeman's gotten pretty close, but aside from that, not a lot of guys have gotten close to 97. 2-0 pitch misses inside, and the count 3 balls and no strikes on Spencer Torkelson. Torkelson went down on strikes back in the top half or bottom half of the 1st inning. And now ahead on the count 3-0. DeVito tosses over to first, and back into the bag easily is Michael Bush. Runner on first base, no outs. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 2-1 Chatham. 3-0 pitch, fastball on the outside corner for strike 1. DeVito comes set. The 3-1 pitch misses upstairs for ball 4. There are runners on first and second with no outs. Pitching coach Steve Gruenberg walks out to the mound to have a chat with Ricky DeVito, make sure everybody's on the same page. Danny Casals will join DeVito, Driscoll, and Coach Steve Gruenberg on the mound.
Well, and this is a point where Gruenberg's just going out there to talk things over, really settle Ricky DeVito out there, calm him down a little bit. A guy that, you know, hit the first batter, now has walked the next there in Torkelson, and this is where Chatham has an opportunity to try to stretch the lead a bit here, and we're still with nobody out. And obviously, a double play ball could help things out and really quicken this inning up for the Mariners and try to prevent the damage. But again, Gruenberg is out there.
And Steve Gruenberg will trot back over to the dugout. I think there are a few things he's probably looking to discuss with DeVito there. Specifically, make sure that he knows just pound the strike zone. If you're throwing 97, it's not easy for a lot of these guys to hit, especially trying to catch up with the wooden bats. Not quite as much of an impact at this point in the season due to the fact they've been hitting with wooden bats now for 40 games, but still, it's important to throw strikes in these situations. The first pitch misses low for ball one with a breaking ball, and the count 1 ball and no strikes on the left-handed hitter Colin Simpson. Runners on first and second, no outs. The 1-0 delivery, a big-time breaking ball swung on and missed from Simpson. And the count 1-1. It's a good-looking pitch with a lot of break, but you know, it's still tough if he has to command those pitches well.
It's great to see him throw it in the zone for a strike, even though it was a swing and a miss.
The 1-1 pitch. Another breaking ball missing upstairs in the count 2-1. Runners on first and second, no outs. Bottom of the third inning, a 2-1 Anglers lead. The 2-1 pitch, fastball. Misses outside in the count 3 balls and 1 strike. And you'd have to wonder how much longer is DeVito going to have in this ball game? And the 3-1 pitch is cut on and fouled off to the netting behind home plate, and the count runs full at 3-2.
Well, now he's back at a full count here, and Simpson's going to have to protect. But again, DeVito, not much wiggle room to work with here. There's still nobody out. Runners on first and second. You got to throw a pitch either just out of the zone or try to paint a corner.
Bush off of second, Torkelson off first. The 3-2 pitch swung on and missed. Big time strikeout from DeVito. There's one away in the bottom of the third.
That is a huge strikeout for Ricky DeVito to at least record out in this inning. And now, I mentioned before, just a pitch away from getting out of this inning, and which started on a high note for the Anglers, but something interesting going on here now.
And if DeVito can work out of this inning, you know, he still could go 4, 5, 6 innings of work in theory if he can work some quicker innings. So the Mariners are not done if they can keep this game at a 1-run game, but that's what's so important as the first pitch is a breaking ball to Tristan English for strike 1, and that's the sort of pitches we've been seeing from Ricky DeVito in the past. Really nice breaking balls on the inside corner, pitches that are tough to hit. But he ran into some trouble when he lost some control over the last inning as the 0-1 pitch is swung on a line drive out to left field, right at the left fielder, Nate Eichhoff, and there are 2 away.
Well, English put a nice piece of wood on that ball, but just ran at the left fielder, Eichhoff, and that's another big out for DeVito as the Anglers could strand these 2 runners here, which would be a brilliant job by DeVito on the mound. And remember, just he was behind the count on Colin Simpson, works his way back to strike him out.
Two away. Runners on first and second. The first pitch of John Rave swung on, and a blooper into left field for a base hit. 1 run scores, and it's an RBI double from John Rave on a blooper down the left field line. Just a lucky piece of hitting from Rave, and it just gets inside that left field line.
We talk about where a line drive is right at the left fielder, our hit ball, but then sometimes the baseball gods will go against your way, and dropping in a blue single that just stays fair by maybe an inch or two on that line. It's kind of similar to what the Brewster game back in Brewster 2 games ago. Just a lot of bloop singles like that finding the grass out there.
And now it's Greg Jones, the left-handed hitter, who takes a breaking ball just above the zone for ball one. And it's 3-1 Chatham in the bottom of the third inning. Harwich Mariners put up the first run on the top of the first. Chatham responded with 2 in the bottom of the second, 1 more in the bottom of the third as the 1-0 delivery is in the dirt. Count 2 balls and no strikes on Greg Jones.
Now the lead is still in reach, or so the deficit is now still in reach for the Mariners. It's just DeVito has to work out of this inning. As if those 2 more runs come across, it's going to take a while for the Mariners to chip into that, especially with the way they don't hit a lot of home runs.
It would be very difficult if the Mariners found themselves down 5-1 after the third inning. But DeVito can still work out of this. As the runners on second and third, 2 outs. The 2-0 pitch is a breaking ball for strike 1.
It almost reminds me of Virginia, University of Virginia basketball. They play their defense and their offense for the whole shot clock. When if you're down by 15 points, 20 points in the second half, it's awfully tough to play catch up. So that's what the Mariners have to do here, is limit the damage in the early innings and try to work towards the late innings.
2-1 delivery, breaking ball inside corner, count 2-2. Mariners bats need to find a way to come alive because over the last 2 innings, it's been 1-2-3 from Austin Bergner.
And all starts on the other end too, and just getting a couple base runners on.
The 2-2 pitch. And what's the call?
I think it said it hit Greg Jones.
But hit Greg Jones, then it would be a dead ball, right? Everybody would be headed back to their bases, but it looks like 1 run. Let's see what's going to happen. Everybody's headed back to their base.
Well, that's what home plate umpire Jeff Merzel was signaling over to Torkelson at third base. Is hold up, hold up, hold up. You're not coming across. That pitch hit him. And even though that pitch went to the backstop, it's a dead ball. And now manager Tom Holliday is coming out to talk to the home plate umpire, Jeff Merzel. I think if Holliday, he might just want maybe a run to come in instead of maybe the bases loaded. At least tax on another run, because if McCann gets out, that's the inning. So,
well, McCann is somebody who hit a home run his last time up. That was back in the bottom of the second inning. Gave the Anglers a 2-0 lead. Then here in the bottom of the third, the bases are loaded. Torkelson off third, Rave off second, and Jones leads off of first base. And an opportunity for the Chatham Anglers to blow the doors open in the bottom of the third inning as the first pitch misses upstairs for ball 1. It's going to be interesting to see the way the Mariners use their arms over the next 2 days as the 1-0 pitch is cut on and fouled off behind home plate, count 1-1. How are they going to use the bullpen arms? Are they going to have some guys go long innings, or are they going to see if they can just go one guy after the next?
it looks like there is a left-hander warming in the Mariners bullpen. Looks like it could be Joe LaSorsa, but no confirmation yet.
And the 1-1 pitch is swung on, a foul tip. It's going to get by the glove of Driscoll, but everybody's going to have to stay put as it was a foul ball and a dead ball as the count 1 ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the third inning, a 3-1 Anglers lead. They have an opportunity to extend that lead as they have the bases loaded in 2 outs. I did see LaSorsa running down there. I do believe it is him. As the 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled off to the backstop, count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Torkelson on third. Rave on second. Jones leads off of first base. 2 outs. The 1-2 pitch swung on, a high pop-up foul down the third baseline, out of play, and the count remains 1-2. And this is not the same Ricky DeVito we've seen over the past 2 or 3 starts.
Well, even through almost 3 innings, get only 4 hits, just the 3 runs. 2 of them coming off the long ball. Again, there's a couple hit by pitches and walks could maybe doom DeVito.
And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled off behind home plate once again. As Kyle McCann is really working Ricky DeVito.
Now he's doing a couple fastballs up in the zone. Might see him go with a curveball down below the knees, maybe in the dirt.
The 1-2 pitch misses inside. It's going to end up hitting McCann. That is the third hit batsman from Ricky DeVito this evening, and it's going to drive in a run. It is a 4-1 Anglers lead.
Batting for Chatham, the third baseman from Stetson, number 49, Jorge Arenas.
And Jorge Arenas, the right-handed hitter.
Looks like a curveball just came a bit too far inside and hit Jones, or excuse me, hit McCann on the lower half of the body.
And I'm not sure if the Mariners are going to go make a pitching change here. Driscoll and DeVito are having a chat. We've seen this a number of times this year where the catcher will come to the pitcher, have a chat, go back behind home plate, then Engler will come out and make the pitching change, giving the reliever a few more options, or a few more pitches.
Well, now there's a right-hander in the bullpen, and he's not even throwing yet. He's from maybe 60 feet, just tossing quickly, ratherly, but he's not pitching yet.
Well, DeVito back out on the mound. First pitch is a fastball on the outside corner for strike one. Count 0-1 on Jorge Arenas.
Now show some confidence in Coach Enger in leaving DeVito out there. Maybe he wants to try to work out of his mess here.
The 0-1 pitch swung on, a high chopper towards the middle. Fielded by Casals, throws the second. It's in time to finally end the bottom of the third inning. Not before Chatham tacks on 2 more runs at the end of 3 innings of play. It's 4-1 Anglers. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
And back inside Veterans Field, it is a 4-1 Angler lead over the Harwich Mariners. And the Anglers putting 2 up in the bottom of second and 2 more just this past inning. The lone run for the Mariners coming off the bat of Alex Tappan, who is on deck right now. But leading things off, it is the first baseman out of Tennessee, Andre Lipsius. Righty-righty matchup. The first pitch from Burner comes up and inside as backing off the plate is Andre Lipsius. So Mariners looking to get the bats going here in the second time around. The 3-hitter Lipsius. 1-0 pitch runs low and outside for ball 2. Count heads to 2 balls and no strikes on Lipsius. Lipsy so far this year, 4 out of the 6 games against the Anglers, he has recorded a hit. Again, he has 2 home runs off Anglers pitching. 2 out of the 4 home runs, I should say, he has this year. As a 2-0 pitch is fouled back and out of play behind the home plate area. Strong crowd on tonight for this playoff game, game 1 of the Eastern Division. Definitely always a good showing here, especially when playoff baseball. And so 2-1 Ellipsius is popped high in the air, and giving a look is English, but will find the seats down the right field side. Countyman's back up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now
I'll take you around the Cape Cod Baseball League for some score updates. And there's one game that's final. The Brewster Whitecaps knock off the YD Red Sox 5-4.
2-2 off-speed pitch runs too far off the plate. Count runs full on 3-2.
And what an interesting story that would be. The YD Red Sox, of course, one of the best-known teams for postseason success.
The 3-2 pitch to Lipsius is popped high in the air on the right side into foul territory is English. Feeling for the fence, but runs out of room as he presses against the fence, and will drop into the second or third row of the bleachers down there. Count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. And, of course, Brewster won it last year. They actually were the 3 seed last year, knocked off Whitey in the first round. So I wouldn't be surprised again if they do it again. They've been playing some quality baseball towards the end of the season. Of course, Whitey winning 4 of the last 5. Chatham hasn't won a championship since 1998 when John Schiffner was the manager. Of course, he was a longtime manager in Chatham, retired last year. Harwich hasn't won since 2011. The 3-2 pitch is a high chopper over to the left side of Jones. He fields it on a 2-hop throw on the first base is in time. And Lipsius is retired here in the top of the 4th inning. So with 1 down, nobody on here in the 4th for the Mariners. A 4-1 Angler lead. And that has now been 8 in a row that Bergner has retired.
The only other game in progress tonight is the Wareham and Katuitt game as the Gatemen lead 1-0. The Falmouth Hyannis series has been now delayed two days back.
First pitch to Tappan is cracked out towards right center field. Coming on is the center fielder Rave. Almost lunges to make that grab, but secures it for the second out.
A really hard hit ball off the bat of Alex Tappan. That ball is anywhere else in the ballpark. It's down the right field line that may be out of here for a home run. It's in that right center field gap. That's easily extra bases, but unfortunately for him, right at the center fielder Rave, and now 2 away.
And now is the left-handing hitting catcher out of George Mason, Logan Driscoll. Righty-lefty matchup. First pitch is fouled off the catcher McCann and the umpire Marzell, and will trickle over towards the on-deck circle for strike 1.
And the other thing of note is, as I was mentioning, Falmouth and Hyannis has now been delayed 2 days. Supposed to start on Saturday, and it was rained out last night, and due to the field conditions tonight, they are also unable to play. So game 1 will be tomorrow.
A 1 pitch misses down below the knees for ball 1. Countyman's back up at 1 ball and 1 strike, and that's why the Hyannis Harborhawks have been able to get $750,000 to upgrade the fields from bathroom facilities to the drainage there. Of course, it's basically a marshland down in Hyannis right next to the ferry as the 1-1 pitch up in the zone is cut on a miss. Count runs to 1 ball and 2 strikes on the catcher Driscoll.
Well, there's no question about it. That's a field that needs a lot of work. And it's going to be tough because you can't have so many rainouts. One game after the next game after the next game, rain out to rain out to rain out. So it'll be good for them for the future as well, to be able to have a field that will be playable night in and night out.
1-2 pitch from Bergner is fouled off as losing the helmet is Logan Driscoll. He'll have to go retrieve it just on the outside of that circle. So count is 1-2. Nobody on, 2 outs here, 4-1. Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners here in game 1 of the Eastern Division playoffs. Bergner works from the windup once more. The 1-2 offering. Line drive out to center field. Coming in is the center fielder Rave. And he takes away another base hit right at the center fielder Rave. And that's how the top of the 4th will end. No runs, no hits, nobody left on for the Mariners after 3.5. 4-1 Anglers lead. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 4th inning from Veterans Field. A 4-1 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. Ricky DeVito for the Mariners back on the bump. He'll face the 1-2-3 hitters for the Chatham Anglers. It is the left fielder out of USC, Blake Sable, who will step into that left side. First pitch from DeVito comes up and in for ball 1 on Sable. Sable so far is hitless. Again, he's a guy that has found a lot of success against the Mariners this season. He is hitting over 400. 1-0 pitch misses down. Count is 2-0, and Blake Sable, an interesting guy out of USC, whose second cousin is Troy Polamalu. 2-0 to Sable is hammered out high in the air, out towards right field. Going back to the track is tapping. He goes, tries to go over the wall, but this ball is gone over towards the light pole in right field, and Blake Sable extends this Anglers lead to 5-1 as he sends a home run over the right field fence. That's his 8th home run on the season, and that is now tied for the most in the Cape League.
Yeah, it's a big home run from Sable, and it's going to hurt the outing of DeVito that much more. You know, he's somebody who comes back out onto the mound in the bottom of the 4th inning. He's looking to clean things up after a tough 2nd and 3rd. And all of a sudden, it's another home run from Sable. So the Mariners find themselves in a 4-run deficit very early in this game.
You mentioned 4-run deficit, 5-1 Anglers lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Nobody on, nobody out, but Blake Sable records his first hit in this ball game as he crushes one out over the right field fence. And now manager Steve Wenger will take a walk out to the pitcher's mound. We mentioned before there was a right-hander warming, and this might do it for the right-hander out of Seton Hall.
And it will, as he makes the motion over towards the bullpen. We'll have to see who's coming into this game. I heard George Kirby very well maybe making an appearance in tonight's game. We'll have to see if he's actually coming in. Now that the Mariners are down by 4 runs, they may want to save him for later in this series. But then again, this is not a change Angler wanted to make. He wanted to see if DeVito could go long into tonight's start because, you know, he goes 3 innings of work, ends up allowing 5, and if he could have gone 6 or 7, Angler would have been happy to allow him to do so, but it wasn't DeVito's night tonight. He's struggled with Chatham in both outings now this year. He pitched 3 2/3 innings, 6 run, 4 earned his first time. Now tonight, 3+ innings, 5 runs, 5 earned. So we'll step aside and sort out the details when we come back. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Back inside Veterans Field here in the bottom of the fourth. I think 5-1 Angers lead over the Harwich Mariners. New pitcher on the mound is Luke Scherzer out of Virginia Tech. He is one of the Hokies, of course, from Richmond, Virginia. Guy who's pitched 3 full seasons for the Hokie Birds. First pitch is catches the inside corner, the power hitting second baseman Michael Bush.
Pitched in 2014, 2015, and 2018. Most recently had a 5.76 ERA at Virginia Tech over 25 innings.
A one pitch runs upstairs for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count. Now, he did pitch for the Mariners in 2015, made 13 appearances. 0-0 record, a 4.38 ERA is the 1-1 pitch is cut on and missed for strike 2. 1-2 is the count. He did record 7 saves for the Mariners after playing in the Valley League in 2014. So he's found his way back here on Cape Cod here in 2018. The 1-2 offering from Scherzer. Curveball in the dirt, cut on and says it's a foul ball. As it looks like it might have touched the ground, but Driscoll's pleading to ask the third base umpire, Larry Rosenberg. He says he caught it up in the air, and Rosenberg agrees with his home plate mate. Jeff Marzell says it's a foul ball. It hit the ground. So count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bush comes set from the left side. The righty-lefty matchup. Fastball runs up and in as Bush ducks out of the way, and the count evens back up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So nobody on, nobody out. 5-1 Angers lead, and thanks to the Blake Sable home run to start this inning after then DeVito departed as a 2-2 curveball outside corner, strike 3 gets Bush looking. And with 1 down in this 4th inning. So now with 1 out, it is Spencer Torkelson out of Arizona State, and one of the more dangerous hitters on this Cape Cod League so far tonight. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk. He walked back in the 3rd and came around to score off the John Arave double. First pitch to Torkelson. This is the inside part of the plate as he elevated his arms to try to get out of the way.
And Scherzer, someone who missed all of 2016 and 2017, both years he got a Tommy John surgery. So 2 Tommy John surgeries for Scherzer.
1-0 pitch runs low and outside for ball 2. 2-0 the count.
And the decision to stick with baseball is quite an admirable one. After getting that first Tommy John surgery and then saying, you know what, I'm going to continue playing. And not only that, but then continue playing the following season after a second Tommy John surgery.
2-0 curveball once more, doesn't quite catch the inside corner. 3-0 is the count on Torkelson. And a perfect example is Johnny Venters, a guy who played his career with the Braves and then was an all-star, I believe, 1 or 2 years, and had a couple of Tommy Johns, found his way back with the Rays this year, and now traded back to the Braves at the trade deadline. And you see stories all the time about that as a 3-0 pitch is fouled off behind home plate for strike one. 3-1 the count.
Because if I'm not mistaken, they had to take the tendon from one part of the body and put it in the elbow. Is that right?
That is true. I believe it's from your leg or something down there. I'm not an expert on this, but I believe they take a tendon from another part of your body and then they put it
you have to
on
wonder
your arm.
How many tendons can they take out to put in different locations before,
that's
it's
true.
too many Tommy John surgeries.
Well, Nathan Eovaldi has had 2 Tommy Johns as a 3-1 pitch. Misses for ball 4, and Torkelson will take his base for the second time this evening on base on balls. And now the Anglers have the runner on with 1 down. And Nathan Eovaldi, a guy who was with the Yankees, had the Tommy John, then was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays, is now at the Red Sox, of course, and pitched a gem of a game yesterday in the win over the Yankees. But now there's 1 out in the inning, and it is Colin Simpson, the DH. He is 0 for 2 this evening. Righty-lefty matchup. The first pitch from Scherzer is sliced foul out of play for strike 1. Simpson, a guy this year, in 6 matchups against the Bears, has had a recorded hit in 5 of those 6 games. I mentioned before, so far tonight, does not have a hit. 0-1, a pitch to Simpson is lined out towards center field. Norman on his horse, he comes down on one knee to make the sliding catch, and now going back towards third base. The relay throw from Casals is not in time, and Torkelson making it real interesting out there as Norman ranged over to his left and went down to the one knee, sliding on his bottom part to make the grab, and then Torkelson was almost at second base. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I think he was trying to play that ball in a way that he possibly could score if that ball falls. But if the Mariners had executed a proper relay play there, I think they possibly could have gotten Torkelson back at first base. The throw came in, and it bounced a couple of times, and then Casals picked it up and relayed it over to first base. If Casals had maybe been out in the outfield relaying that ball at first, I think they possibly could have gotten Torkelson trying to get back to first base.
First pitch to English, misses for ball 1. Righty-righty matchup. 1-0 pitch is sliced just above the Mariners dugout. So Torkelson still on first base. And is Trishan English the first baseman, 0 for 2 tonight. He's a guy that I mentioned before, a two-way player. He pitched back on July 31st, picked up the win for the Anglers over the Harwich Mariners. The 1-1 to English. Misses the bottom part of the zone for ball 2. Count heads to 2-1 on English. Anglers lead 5-1 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. As it was Blake Sample who started this 4th inning with a solo jack over the right field wall. The 2-1 pitch to English is lined hard on the ground towards third base at Shunk. He recoups the ball, fires over towards first base. And English is retired for the 3rd out in this inning. But the Anglers tack on another run for insurance, and they now lead 5-1. After 4, listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Mariners baseball is brought to you in part by Chatham Bars Inn, a proud member of leading hotels of the world. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care. And Curry College. For more information, visit www.curry.edu.
5-1 Anglers lead here from Veterans Field here in the top of the 5th inning. Austin Bergner back on the mound for the Chatham Anglers, and he's been dazzling tonight. He has given the start the Anglers definitely needed, and they wanted. Only one hit allowed through 4 innings and 1 run scored. That was all the way back in the 1st inning off the RBI single from Alex Tappan. A Dykoff to start things off for the Mariners. First pitch is popped up and out of play over the third base area. Count is 0-1.
And the Mariners need to get their bats going at this point in the ball game. They have now been, it's 10 consecutive batters retired from Bergner.
As the 0-1 pitch is lined out towards right field. Coming in is Torkelson as moved 2 steps in for the first down. There's just been a ton of balls tonight that have just haven't quite dropped out there.
A number of unlucky plays. You mentioned a couple of them. I mean, the Alex Tappan ball that was rocketed out to center field, but right at the center fielder Rave, and Logan Driscoll, who had a sinking line drive headed towards center field. Rave also scooped that ball up, and then a line drive towards right that looked like it might fall for a base hit, but the right fielder Torkelson making that catch.
First pitch to pass the tempo, clips the outside edge for strike 1. Bergner working quickly here as the 0-1 curveball is rolled over towards the shortstop Jones. Jones throws across the body. A nice pick over at first base by Tristan English. Able to retire past the tempo for the second out. 2 up, 2 down so far for Bergner.
Well, his last 12 up and last 12 down for Bergner. Ever since that first inning, last Mariners player to get aboard was Alex Tappan in the top of the first inning with his RBI single. Aside from that, the Mariners have got nothing going.
And Bergner at 72 pitches as of right now through 4 2/3. Is now the second baseman, Danny Casals, out of Maine. Nobody on, 2 outs. Mariners trail 5-1 as the check swing is fouled out of play over the Mariners dugout for strike 1. Casals, who is 0 for 1 this evening, last made a plate appearance back in the second inning, is now hitting here in the 5th. Bergner from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Fastball misses upstairs for ball 1, 1-1 the count. And on that last pitch, Bergner paused for about 2 seconds. He almost kicked twice. Maybe he was losing his balance as the 1-1 from Bergner is cut on and missed for strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count on Casals. And Casals looks like he's been sporting a new bat. He looks like he's gone to the Marucci. It is an all beige bat compared to the black bat that he was sporting before. Righty-righty matchup, the 1-2 pitch. Runs up and in as Casals backs out of the way. The count will run to 2-2.
Yeah, Casals has been up and down, especially recently. He was struggling and then hit a home run late in the season and seeing if he can try to turn things around heading into the postseason.
When he gets that home run, he has a lot of confidence in the next couple games. As the 2-2 pitch in the dirt, he goes down swinging. Bergner picks up another punch out to make that 13 in a row. He has retired after 4.5. 5-1 Anglers lead. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Home half of the 5th inning from Veterans Field. 5-1 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. As Luke Scherzer's back on the hill for the Mariners, he'll face Rave, Jones, and McCann here in the 5th. Righty-lefty matchup. First pitch from Scherzer. Misses down below the knees for ball 1. So Scherzer came on for Ricky DeVita, who started the 4th inning, but Sable sent a home run over the right field fence, and Scherzer came on. Retired 3 of the 4 batters he faced. He gave up a walk to Torkelson, on for his 2nd inning of work as the 1-0 pitch misses low and outside for ball 2. 2-0 the count now on John Rave, the center fielder out of Illinois State. Scherzer comes set. The 2-0 pitch is popped up high in the air on the infield on the left side. Third baseman Shunk Waters into foul territory as he'll almost come into fair, and Rave is retired for the first out in the 5th inning.
Yeah, and it's nicely done by Luke Scherzer coming into tonight's ball game. And, you know, you look at him and you see, you know, he hasn't pitched in a couple of years and goes to Virginia Tech after a okay season there. He also played in the Valley League again this season, had a 3.82 ERA, started 9 games, pitched a total of 37 innings, now coming over to Cape Cod, and he's producing again.
First pitch to the speedy shortstop out of UNC Wilmington, Greg Jones, at the knees for strike 1. So it's great to see Scherzer back on the hill. 0-1 pitch to Jones. He swings right over that one on the off-speed pitch as he's cooking in the hole now. No balls and 2 strikes. So nobody on, 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 5-1 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. It is game 1 of the Eastern Division playoffs on the Cape League. 0-2 pitch to Jones is floored out toward shallow center fielder. Coming on as the center fielder normally moves on 2 more steps to make the catch for the 2nd out. And no fog here tonight, as obviously Veterans Field known for the 5th inning fog out. And so far there's nothing. As I realized last time we were here, the fog really started to roll in. Norman was in left field, and a ball went high up into the air, and he just didn't know where it was, which can happen, 1, at night, and 2, when there's a lot of fog around. So he was able to make that catch. It's not easy to track a baseball in the fog, especially here in Chatham. So 2 down the inning in the bottom of the 5th. 5-1 Anglers lead. Scherzer backs off the mound for 2nd. As he rotates the ball with his hands, comes back to the rubber. Comes set from the stretch. First pitch to McCann. Bounces in for ball 1 as it is picked by the catcher Logan Driscoll for ball 1. So McCann, who got things going for the Anglers back in the 2nd inning, had a 2-run blast over the left field fence that gave the Anglers a 2-1 lead, and they haven't looked back. They now lead 5-1.
Yeah, it all started back in the bottom of the 2nd inning after a walk to Greg Jones, a 2-run homer from Kyle McCann. That put Chatham up 2-1. And then a lengthy bottom of the 3rd inning. Bush was hit by a pitch. Torkelson walked. A double from Rave. Greg Jones hit by a pitch. Kyle McCann hit by a pitch. And in that whole process, 3 runs ended up coming around to score. And then, of course, in the bottom of the 4th, the solo home run from Blake Sable. And that was it for Ricky DeVito.
That was pretty much the cherry on top for the Anglers offense in the beginning of the game as the 1-0 pitch came inside. And Driscoll was out talking to his right-hander out of Virginia Tech in Scherzer. So 2 down the inning, 2-0 count on McCann. The 8 here in the lineup, the catcher out of Georgia Tech. The 2-0 from Scherzer is cut on and miss, as McCann just swung a little bit right through that one. He tried to hold it back, but just swung through. So the count is 2 balls and 1 strike on McCann.
And with Scherzer having experience going late into ball games, I would not be at all surprised to see Scherzer try to take this game, if not the rest of the way, into the 7th or 8th inning.
We mentioned before he closes games, 7 saves when he's in Harwich in 2015. 2-0-2-1 pitch is chopped over the second baseman. Casals on the run. He makes the throw, and McCann is retired. So a 1-2-3 inning worked by Luke Scherzer after 5 is a 5-1 Anglers lead. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top of the 6th inning from Veterans Field. It is a 5-1 Anglers lead. They have 5 runs on 5 hits, no errors. Mariners have 1 run on 1 hit and no errors as well. So Mariners back in the playoffs. The last of the playoffs in 2016. That's when the last playoff one came, August 6, 2016, over Chatham. And the last playoff series that Chatham had was back in 2016 against the Mariners. Obviously, Chatham was in the playoffs last year, only picked up 1 win against Orleans in the first round, and that was Austin Bergner who picked up the win. First pitch to Ben Norman, check swing ball in the dirt. He's able to hold up for ball 1. 1-0 the count on the center fielder out of Iowa, Ben Norman. So Mariners need some base runners on, and why not start now here in the 6th inning? They trail 5-1. 1-0 pitch to Norman. This is the inside corner for ball 2. 2-0 the count as it just gets past the catcher McCann. Bergner, who has been spectacular, hasn't allowed a base runner since that first inning.
Yeah, 13 consecutive Mariners retired by Bergner. And I think right now, the Mariners just may want to be patient, make him throw some strikes as he's down on the count 2-0.
2-0 pitch to Norman once more, misses the bottom part of the zone. Count runs the 3-0 on Norman.
And this is an important part of the ball game, because if Norman can draw a walk to lead things off, not only does it end the streak of retired batters, but also makes it work out of the stretch, change things up a little bit.
3-0 pitch is at the belt for a strike. 1-3-1 the count, and that's what you want to do. When a guy's in that groove and in that zone, give him something else to think about over at first base, or just any base in general. You know, get him out of his comfort zone.
And not only that, he's deep into his outing. Maybe he's losing a little bit of control.
3-1 pitch misses above the letters for ball 4. Norman takes his base over at first.
Well,
so now the Mariners have the leadoff man on here in the top of the 6th. They trail 5-1.
That ends the 13 consecutive batters retired by Bergner. You got the last out of the first. A 1-2-3 in the second, a 1-2-3 in the third, a 1-2-3 in the fourth, another 1-2-3 in the fifth, and then leading things off with a walk in the 6th inning.
Tanner Morris from the left side, first pitch misses down for ball 1. 1-0 the count as now the catcher McCann will go out to have a chat with the right-hander out of UNC. We'll have to see how much of a leash that Bergner is on with Tom Holliday. Of course, Bergner has been one of the more dominant pitchers in this rotation this year, and Holliday might trust him enough to keep him in the game. We'll have to see if that will change here in the 6th. So McCann retreats back to behind the dish. Count is 1-0 on the leadoff hitter Morris. Morris at Veterans Field this year is 3 for 9 with a double. Hitting .333, of course, as the 1-0 pitch Misses again inside, count is 2-0, and today Morris has walked and grounded out, so he's 0 for 1.
And again, I think it is crucial that the Mariners just stay put right where they are, just make him throw strikes.
2-0 pitch is lined over Michael Bush's head into right center field, advancing towards third base. Throw is cut off by Greg Jones at short, tossed over second base as Morris is thrown out. And that's a heads-up play by Greg Jones as the right fielder Torkelson tried to throw the ball over towards third. Jones cuts it off, throws it back to second, and nabs Tanner Morris.
And you understand why Tanner Morris tries to do it, but ultimately you want to still be more cautious when you're trailing in this ball game. You're down 5-1. It would be nice to get in a scoring position with 1 out or with no outs. But still, if you get yourself in a scoring position with 1 out or 2 outs, you give your team an opportunity to drive you in, especially with the 2 and 3 hitters coming up. Now, the Mariners still have that runner on third base with 1 out, but it's going to be a lot harder for the Harwich Mariners to try to get these runs in with fewer outs to work with. And it could have had Morris with an opportunity to drive him in as well.
Base runners have not come plentiful tonight as the first pitch. And that will go as a balk. Norman will come in to score.
Well, that's a nice plus for the Harwich Mariners, as they did not previously, or not able to score many runs. The base paths are empty, so it's not like there's necessarily a rally going for the Harwich Mariners, but still, if the run comes in to score, it cuts the deficit to 5-2. All of a sudden, the Mariners find themselves back in this ball game. There still are 3 more innings after this one where they can try to put a couple of runs on the board and cut the deficit even further. But it's good the Mariners are able to at least get themselves back on the scoreboard, find a couple of base runners in the inning, and now score a run.
So the count is now 0-1, as it looks like from what Jeff Barzell was pointing at and Holiday as well, looks like he didn't come set. Bergner didn't come set, and that's a thing that can lead to the balk. There's a ton of ways that it could, but it looks like from what he was doing as.
And the balk rules are so complicated at this point. I think too complicated that nearly nobody knows all the rules unless you're an umpire or you have studied the game for years and years and years.
And the count is actually now 0-1. As the pitch, I believe, does not count due to the balk. So the 0-1 to Shunk now is popped up high in the air just above the second baseman Bush. He trails out towards the outfield grass to make the grab for the second out. So now 2 outs, I think nobody on is a 5-2 Angers lead, and that Tanner Morris, being thrown out at second base just hurts a little bit more.
And instead of course, being a runner, if he had stayed at first base, runners on first and third, no outs, then becomes a runner on second with 1 out. And you never know what happens in that Aaron Shunk at bat if he's possibly trying to move that runner over.
So now is Andre Lipsius from the right side. First pitch to the right-hander is rolled over towards the third base side as Arenas fields the ball, but is foul for strike 1. Lipsius so far has bounced out twice. I mentioned before he has 4 out of the 6 games against the Anglers he has ahead, including a couple multi-hit games. 1 to Lipsius is fouled back into the screen. Count is 0-2. In general, though, the Anglers pitching staff has been dominant. They've only given up 34 hits and 17 earned runs in 6 games against the Mariners. As the 0-2 pitch is lined over the diving second baseman Michael Bush, and rounding first base, Lipsius trips and falls. I don't think he would have been able to advance towards second base, but a lot can happen when a guy falls down.
Yeah, he was just rounding first base and he tripped over his own feet on the line drive out the middle. So still now 2 away in the top of the 6th inning. Mariners with a run in. Let's see if they can try to add another run on the board.
So they're going to try to collect a couple base hits together now as time is called by the home plate umpire Jeff Barzell, maybe just to check on Lipsius. It's actually, I broke my wrist playing baseball, was falling over after being tagged out, put my wrist down and broke my wrist. So it can't happen. And it is now Alex Tappan, the right fielder, who's driven in one of the 2 runs for the Mariners today back in the first inning. First pitch to Tappan. Runs low and outside for ball 1. Tappan, I mentioned before, had a single in the first, and he lined out to center field in the 4th. 1 for 2 so far for Tappan. Bergner from the stretch. The 1-0 to Tappan is cut on a miss for strike one. County is back up at 1 ball and 1 strike. So Lipsia stands though at first base with 2 outs. 5-2 Anglers lead. Mariners have 1 across here off the balk from Bergner. Norman came in to score. 1-1 a curveball to Tappan is at the knees for strike 2.
Really nice pitch from Bergner there on the breaking ball as it locks Tappan up.
So Bergner's ahead in the count 1-2. Also just a gentle toss over towards first base to keep an eye on Lipsius.
You can see he stepped off the mound fully and then just made a very gentle throw over to first base, making sure there was no balk that time around.
1-2 fastball at Tappan. He's a little tardy on it. It just tries to foul it out of play and does so. So count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes on the right fielder out of Virginia. Couple guys out of Virginia on this team, including Tanner Morris, Eichhoff, and now Tappan. The 1-2 pitch to Tappan. Fastball elevated up in the zone. And I'm able to catch up to that one. So the Mariners leave a base runner around, but they do get a run back as Norman comes in to score off the balk. It is now a 5-2 Anglers lead after 5.5. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Back inside Veterans Field for the latter half of this sixth inning is a 5-2 Anglers lead. Mariners get 1 back in the top of this inning as Anglers try to keep their offensive bats going. 5 runs so far through 5 innings, including all of them within the span of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning. However, Luke Scherzer so far has done a good job to keep these bats at bay. He's retired 6 of the 7 he has faced. The only one reaching on a walk is Spencer Torkelson. Of course, in that 4th inning, Sybil hit a home run off DeVito, and then Scherzer came in after that as the first pitch to Arenas is a broken bat. Bloop hit it right at the second baseman, Casals, who makes the grab for the first out. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Scherzer. He's now retired 6 in a row.
Scherzer's been outstanding ever since he entered tonight's ball game. He's allowed just 1 walk and retired all other 9 batters he faced. Or I beg your pardon, the other 7 batters he faced. As he came on in the 4th inning, again allowed the walk, retired the rest of the batters, and then got a 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 5th, and records the first out here in the 6th.
First pitch to lead off hitter out of USC, Blake Sybil, misses downstairs for ball 1. Sybil, who last hit back in the 4th at a home run. He is 1 for 3 on the evening. 1-0 pitch runs too far off the outside black for ball 2. Count heads to 2-0. So 1 down the inning, nobody on. 5-2 Anglers lead. Sybil, who is now tied for the league lead in home runs with 8. The 2-0 to Sable is cut on and missed, and again off balance, really trying to almost set another one over the right field fence. Count is 2-1 on Sable.
And it's nice to see Scherzer coming in, and DeVito, of course, he ran into trouble in those first 3 innings. See if he can try to turn things around for these Mariners pitching staff.
2-1 pitch is reached over towards shortstop Morris. High throw, but a great tag by Lipsius is able to retire Sable.
Very well done by Andre Lipsius, because it looked like Sable was going to be safe over at first base because Morris's throw was off target. And Lipsius jumped to catch the ball, then did a swipe tag on a 360 turn, and ended up tagging out Sable over at first base. A very athletic play by Lipsius.
Lipsius, of course, can also play shortstop, showing off his athleticism at first base. First pitch to Michael Bush misses downstairs for ball 1. 1-0 on Bush. Scherzer comes set. 1-0 to left-hander second baseman. Bounces in as it kicks off the foot of Driscoll for ball 2. Count heads to 2-0. Bush, who has since coming into the Cape League out of UNC, has been excellent at a .322 average, including 6 home runs and 17 RBIs. Now, he's only been on the Cape League since July 3rd, so he's missed basically half a month. A good handful of games, maybe 20 games or so, and has still been producing. His OPS is over 1,000. 2-0 pitch is a big swing and miss as he takes a big hack at that one. The count is 2-1. 5-2, Anglers lead over the Mariners here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2 outs, nobody on. Scherzer comes set from the stretch. He backs off the mound for a second, as Michael Bush does as well. It takes a practice swing, and we'll take back in from the left side. Scherzer kicks and fires. The 2-1 misses low and inside. The count runs to 3-1 now. Bush tonight, who a little bit of everything on the scorecard. He has a double in the first. He was hit by a pitch in the third. Came around to score, and then struck out in the 4th inning. So he's done a little bit of everything here for the Anglers. The 3-1 pitch to Bush is flied out high towards center field. Norman going back to the track. Norman looks back, and it is out of here onto the hill in center field for a home run. The Anglers' 3rd home run in this ball game. We've seen some sky balls for the Anglers. They now lead 6-2 over the Harwich Mariners.
And that's going to hurt, because the Harwich Mariners looked like they were trying to get back into this ball game, especially with the bats in the top of the 6th inning. The Mariners put up a run, and all of a sudden it looked like the Mariners, maybe they get back into this game. They put up a run in the 7th, the 8th, but after that home run, it's going to put a little bit of a damper on the Harwich Mariners' chances, as it's a big home run for Bush to give the Anglers an additional insurance run.
We talk about the power in general on this team, as the first pitch curveball misses to Torkelson for ball 1. And that is Bush's 7th home run on the season. I mean, he's just right behind the heels of the league leaders. Sable hit his 8th, so he's now tied a lead. Torkelson has 7. And now having 7 is Michael Bush, as the 1-0 fastball runs too far low and outside for ball 2. Count is 2-0. I mean, this is a team that just has a lot of home run power now, 45 home runs. Orleans was obviously the league leader, but now with them being eliminated out of the playoffs, I think Chatham might have taken over first place. 2-0 misses too far inside of Torkelson. Count is 3-0.
And I think that there's no doubt that Chatham has the deepest lineup on Cape Cod right now. I mean, you can go through every single lineup, but there isn't a team where you go 1 through 9 and everybody's dangerous.
3-0 pitch bounces in as it is scooped by the catcher, Driscoll. Torkelson works his 2nd walk, or his 3rd walk of the inning, but his 2nd off of Scherzer. So Scherzer has walked Torkelson twice.
And I think it's not such a bad idea for Scherzer to sort of pitch away from Torkelson. The last thing you want to do is get burned by the guy who had 25 home runs back in college. You know, we all know the sort of damage that Torkelson can do, so pitching away from him is not a bad idea.
First pitch to Colin Simpson's on the outside edge for strike 1. Torkelson, who has only played one game against the Mariners, went 1 for 3. So far his career is 1 for 4 with a couple of walks. As he stands off a first right now, and it is Colin Simpson. One off-speed pitch misses above the letters for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Simpson out of Oklahoma State, hitting .275 this year. He has played in the most amount of games of a Chatham Angler. He's played in 42 of the 44 regular season games. As the 1-1 pitch, this one's hit high out towards left field, going back to the warning track as the left fielder Eichhoff to make the grab for the 3rd out. But again, the Youngers tack on another here in the home half of the 6th inning. This time, Michael Bush, a home run out towards the deepest part of the ballpark in center. Now 6-2 Youngers lead of the Harwich Mariners. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Top of the 7th inning from Veterans Field. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. Glad to have you with us this evening as the Chatham Anglers are on top 6-2. It's a new pitcher, Zach Knoll from Point Loma Nazarene. He has a .928 ERA. Has walked 8 batters, allowed 12 hits in 10 2/3 innings. As Logan Driscoll will get things started for the Harwich Mariners in the top of the 7th.
And half those hits, he's given up 12 hits, 6 hits have gone for extra bases. 6 doubles he has allowed.
And we'll have to see how the Mariners can do against Nazarene, because this is a very important inning. Can they take advantage of somebody who has struggled this season? If they can, it would be a very big plus as they can get themselves back in the ballgame. The first pitch to Driscoll, swung on a high fly ball towards deep right center field, back towards the track, towards the wall, and Torkelson makes the catch in front of the wall. That ball was sent a long way from Logan Driscoll. At some ballparks on Cape Cod that may get all the way out of here, but here in Veterans Field, not the longest fences in the league, but 357 in right center field is enough to keep that ball in the ballpark.
Yeah, it just bulges out right at the 357 sign. That's where Driscoll hit it. If he pulled it down the right field line, that would have been more. It would have been gone.
And the first pitch to the 6th hitter, Nate Eichhoff, in there for strike 1. So Driscoll gives that ball a ride, but it's not enough to get it out of the ballpark. 0-1 pitch to Eichhoff is cut on and fouled off down the third base side, out of play, and the count 0-2 on the left-handed hitter. Eichhoff followed by Passatempo. 5, 6, 7 hitters were due up to start the inning. The 0-2 offering to Eichhoff. Swung on, a high fly ball towards right center field. Back to the track, to the wall. It one-hops the wall. Eichhoff charging into second base with a double. There's a runner in scoring position with one out for the Harwich Mariners as they start to get the bats going. Two very hard hit balls. One of them almost gets out of here, gets to the warning track, and it's caught at the wall by Torkelson. The other one hops the wall. So runner on second base with one out in the top of the 7th inning.
Yeah, both Driscoll and Eichhoff have been hitting the screws on the ball, but again, they just right at guys, and Driscoll out to 357 sign, and this time Eichhoff hits a line drive. He put a couple out in batting practice over the right field wall.
And the first pitch runs inside on Steven Passatempo. We know Steven Passatempo can take some balls out of the ballpark. He did it a number of times, exactly 11 in the NECBL. The 1-0 offering. Fastball outside corner, and the count 1-1 strike from Knoll.
He also tacked on 4 home runs last year for the Orleans Firebirds. Of course, same Eastern Division.
Runner on second, one out. Knoll raises the leg but opts to step off. Mariners looking to get themselves back in the ball game in the top of the 7th inning. They trail by 4 runs. The 1-1 pitch from Knoll misses low and outside, and the count 2-1 strike.
And the Mariners have to put something together here. They're running out of outs. There are only 9 outs or 8 outs left. Already 1 out in the 7th, so I got to put something together sooner rather than later.
The 2-1 offering, swung on, line drive, right center field for a base hit. Eichhoff will pull on the brakes over at third. There are runners on the corners with 1 out. Big time single from Steven Passatempo, and the Mariners have something cooking in the top of the 7th.
And that's 2 hits now in this inning. They only had 3 coming in, so starting to bring out the bats here late in this game. We've seen before last time that the Mariners played here at a Veterans Field. They tacked on a similar amount of base hits in the later half of this inning. They were able to score a run in the 8th inning, but again, last time they were here, but it's always Chatham comes back and counter punches. They'll have to try to limit that after they score a couple runs here if they do.
It's Danny Casals who steps in from the right side. The first pitch to Casals, breaking ball. He's way out ahead of that pitch in the count 0-1. Wasn't even close. It was breaking ball low and in the dirt. Casals is way out in front. Count 0-1. 6-2 Anglers lead in the top of the 7th inning. Runners on first and third, 1 out for the Harwich Mariners. The 0-1 offering. Fastball misses upstairs, count 1-1 strike. And we've mentioned at the beginning of this inning how Knoll has in the past experienced some trouble with control. He had 8 walks in 10 2/3 innings, which is a lot. But it's been the hits this inning that have put him in a jam. The 1-1 delivery. Line drive, in for a base hit into center field. And a base hit for Danny Casals, drives home a run. It's 6-3 Chatham in the top of the 7th, and the Mariners bring the tying run to the plate.
And that's just excellent base running over at first base by Passatempo, and of course Eichhoff at third had to wait for that ball to get past Jones, but Passatempo had to hustle over to second base because the ball was so it was kind of looped out over the shortstop set of Jones, and he had to wait before it got past, then a hustle over to second base. It's not ground to fielder's choice then.
There's going to be a meeting at the mound for the Chatham Anglers. There are runners on first and second, 1 out. Passatempo off second, Casals off first. 1 run in for the Harwich Mariners already in the top of the 7th inning.
And Casals had a nice field day against the Anglers last time they played. He went 2 for 4 with a home run and an RBI and a run. So He continues the hot trend against the Anglers here tonight, even though he struck out his first 2 times out. It was against the wicked hot Bergner, and now comes in with the bullpen, able to drive across a run, which is a big run too. Cuts the lead in half.
The meeting at the mound is adjourned. Runners on first and second still with 1 away. And Ben Norman represents the tying run. He has reached base once. He extends his streak of reaching base safely now to 9 consecutive games. Yet to extend his 6-game hit streak as he's 0 for 1 with the walk in the top of the 7th inning. The first pitch, he shows bunt, pulls back. Oh, and it's called strike 1. Looked a little bit low from my angle, but the home plate umpire, Jeff Menzel, gives the benefit of the doubt to Noel.
Big spot here for Norman. Does some speed and does have some pop on that bat as well. Some put a home run in YD over the right field fence. Short portion right here.
Noel pumped that front leg and then steps off. Check on Passatempo over at second base. Casal's off first, Passatempo off second, 1 away in the top of the 7th inning, as the Mariners cut the Anglers' lead to just 3. The 0-1 pitch. Misses low and outside, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Norman digs back in from the left side. The 1-1 pitch. Fastball outside corner, 1-2. Ben Norman, the 9-hitter, would be followed by Tanner Morris, the leadoff man in the Harwich Mariners order. Noel comes set. The 1-2 pitch, swung on, lofted in towards shallow left field. The left fielder, Sable, takes a step in, 1 step back, and makes the catch for the second out of the top of the 7th inning. Runners on first and second still with 2 outs, and it's back to the top of the order for the Mariners as Tanner Morris digs in from the left side. Now this is an important moment in the Harwich Mariners order, because with Tanner Morris stepping in, all of a sudden you have one of the better contact hitters on Cape Cod. A simple swing of the bat could make this, a 2-run game, even a 1-run game if he hits it into the gap. And the first pitch to Morris is a fastball on the inside corner for strike 1. He won the team MVP award before game 44 when all the awards were announced. It's a huge honor for someone who especially just finished his freshman year to win that award, as the 0-1 pitch is a curveball upstairs and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
And Morris, not only can he spread the ball all over the field, there's a little power in that bat as well. Homeward back in YD. Ended up being one of the only runs of the game. Also homeward back in Wareham. A couple home runs on the season, I believe 3.
The 1-1 pitch. This is low and outside, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike on Tanner Morris.
Done a great job here now to work himself into hitter's count. We'll see what Noel will go to.
And the other thing, you don't want to be too aggressive in the situation. If Noel's going to give you a free pass and load the bases for someone like Aaron Shunk, I don't think the Mariners would be objecting in any sort of way. The 2-1 pitch, swung on and fouled off behind home plate in the count 2-2.
Well, he got the fastball in the hitter's count, but Noel able to keep it on the outside corner of the plate, and Morris just fouls it back into the screen.
Morris digs back in. Passatempo off second, Casal's off first. 6-3 Anglers. Top of the 7th inning, the 2-2 pitch swung on. And a soft line drive over towards shortstop. Jones fields and makes the catch for the final out of the inning. The Mariners score 1 and strand 2 at the end of 6.5. We head to the 7th inning stretch. 6-3 Anglers. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
The area behind home plate in the stand.
Welcome back in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Tristan English digs in from the right side. As the first pitch misses inside. Mariners tacked on a run in the top of the 7th. That cut the Anglers' lead to 6-3. That's where it stands now. The 1-0 pitch swung on, a line drive up the middle for a base hit, and Tristan English is aboard to lead things off in the bottom of the 7th.
Center fielder from Illinois State University, number 3, John Rave.
And John Rave, who was 1 for 3 in tonight's contest, he doubled back in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Pitch running for Tristan English, number 31, Ashton McGee.
Now Ashton McGee is going to come on for Tristan English as a pinch runner. So John Rave digs back in from the left side, and as you were mentioning earlier about Scherzer, who's on the mound for the Harwich Mariners, he's someone who started a lot of games back in the Valley League. So we'd have to see, is Scherzer going to go and possibly pitch the end of this game, or is he going to possibly hand it off to another member of the Harwich Mariners bullpen as the first pitch is swung on and a foul tip from John Rave goes to the backstop, and the count 0-1 on the left-handed hitter. So McGee leads off first base with no outs in the bottom of the 7th inning. 6-3 Chatham. The 0-1 pitch misses low and in, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Scherzer comes set. The 1-1 pitch swung on, and a foul ball grounded to the backstop, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes on the left-handed hitter, John Rave. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. Glad to have you with us this evening as the Chatham Anglers lead the Harwich Mariners 6-3 in Game 1 of the divisional semifinal playoffs. The 1-2 offering, swung on, line drive, it deflects off the glove of Shunk. It's a base hit. Left fielder Eichhoff comes in to play it, and everyone's going to be safe at second and third base as John Rave was digging into second base. He was going quite quickly around first and immediately went into second as Aaron Shunk tried to make a nice play over at third base on a line drive going the other way, but it ended up deflecting off of his glove and into left field. And since that ball slowed down just enough that by the time Eichhoff got to it out in shallow left field, he was not going to be able to either throw out Rave at second base or have a play at third base with Ashton McGee. So now runners on second and third with no outs, and the Chatham Anglers with an opportunity to blow the doors open in the bottom of the 7th inning. With just 2 innings left, the Mariners really need to keep these Anglers bats at bay because, you know, this lead goes from 3 runs to 4 or 5. It's going to be awfully tough for the Mariners to try to come back. Greg Jones, the 7-hitter in the lineup for the Chatham Anglers, digs in. Has a lot of speed. The first pitch, breaking ball. Misses off the outside corner for ball 1. Rave off second base, McGee off third, no outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 6-3 Chatham. There is pitcher warming up in the Harwich Mariners bullpen. It will give you notice of who it is when we get word. The 1-0 pitch, swung on and missed. A big swing and a miss from Greg Jones. In the count, 1 ball and 1 strike as the Mariners are desperately looking for outs in the bottom of the 7th inning with 2 runners in scoring position. And probably the most difficult part for the Mariners right now is the easy ability for Chatham to score a run with an out as the 1-1 pitch, breaking ball cut on and miss, count 1 and 2. A simple fly ball anywhere in the outfield should be enough to get McGee in, which would give Chatham that extra insurance run. The entire Mariners infield in as head coach for the Chatham Anglers, Tom Holliday, walks out to have a chat with his batter, Greg Jones, who's behind in the count 1 and 2, just giving him a quick word of advice late in this ball game. Runners on second and third, no outs. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas and Zarella. Glad to have you with us this evening in the bottom of the 7th inning. The 1-2 pitch. Oh, looked awfully close. Doesn't get the call from the home plate umpire, Jeff Merzel. That looked awfully good to me from behind home plate, but the count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch. Runs low and in, and the count runs full now at 3 balls and 2 strikes on Greg Jones. And we mentioned Scherzer can go deep in ball games, but then again, he has to have a leash because the Mariners aren't just going to let him go indefinitely. As they are still in this game in the bottom of the 7th. The 3-2 pitch cut on and grounded foul behind home plate, and the count remains 3-2. (6-3) Chatham in the bottom of the 7th as they look to add a couple of insurance runs and blow this game wide open. As it looked like Scherzer was about to pitch and then he stopped mid-motion as I believe the home plate umpire called time. The count 3 balls and 2 strikes on Greg Jones. Kyle McCann, who hit a 2-run home run back in the bottom of the 2nd inning, stands on deck. The 3-2 pitch. Swung on and chopped foul down the first base side, and the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. And ultimately tonight's game starts back in the 2nd inning when Ricky DeVito ran into trouble with the 2-run home run from McCann. And ever since then, the Chatham Anglers have not looked back as they lead this game by 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. The 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Struck him out. Big strikeout from Luke Scherzer. 1 away in the bottom of the 7th inning. And that is a very, very big out for Luke Scherzer. But still, the second out I think is going to be that much more important because at that point, Chatham would have to get a base hit to drive in a run. Right now, a fly ball to the outfield would still be enough to bring Ashton McGee in from third base. But a huge at-bat from Scherzer to get the strikeout on a very, very deep count against Greg Jones. And the Harwich Mariners will walk Kyle McCann. It's an interesting decision because Kyle McCann is somebody who is only hitting just over 200. And for someone who's just hitting over 200, for the Mariners to decide to go ahead and walk him to get to the 9-hitter Jorge Arenas is an interesting decision, because oftentimes you'll see somebody go out and try to attack that sort of a hitter. But, of course, with McCann hitting the 2-run home run earlier, and then he was hit by a pitch back in the bottom of the third inning, the Mariners not taking any chances with him again, as they'll walk him, and the bases are loaded with one out in the 9th inning. Now, what that also will do for the Harwich Mariners is it will allow the fielders to go back. The middle infielders are a double play depth. Now, Coach Steve Engler will trot out to the mound. I don't think he's going to make the pitching change quite yet. I think they are trying to figure out where each of the fielders will be in the diamond, because previously with one out, the infielders were in. That means everybody, including the shortstop, second baseman, middle infield, and the corners. As Coach Steve Engler adjourns the quick meeting. With one out in the bottom of the 7th. So after a single from Tristan English, Ashton McGee, it was a double from John Rave. He stands off second base. A strikeout to Greg Jones and a walk to Kyle McCann. So it's McCann off first as the first pitch is swung on and missed by Jorge Arenas. Again, McCann off first base, Rave off second, McGee off third. One out, bottom of the 7th inning, 6-3 Anglers, and this could be a turning point in tonight's ballgame. If this Harwich Mariners pitching staff and defense can find a way to work out of this inning, it may give them some confidence, which could potentially translate over to the bats. The 9-hitter Jorge Arenas digs in from the right side. The 0-1 pitch, swung on and a chopper foul over towards that Chatham dugout, and the count no balls and 2 strikes. (6-3) Chatham in the bottom of the 7th. Bases loaded, one out. The 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Struck him out. Couple of big strikeouts from Scherzer. They're 2 away in the bottom of the 7th inning. Now the threat is far from over, as Blake Sable, who hit a solo home run back in the bottom of the 4th inning, will dig in from the left side with the bases loaded. But what this does allow the Harwich Mariners defense to do is to take a few steps back to their normal positions. And not only that, after walking Kyle McCann, it's a force at every base. And that was the main concern I had with the Mariners' decision to walk him, that they're going to face Sable. The first pitch is swung on, a line drive into right field for a base hit. 1 run scores. Rounding third is Reed. The throw to the plate is in time. But it's an RBI single from Blake Sable. And the Anglers now lead at 7-3. And Tom Holliday's not happy with the call at home plate, as Jeff Merzel called him out. As it is now a 7-3 Anglers lead after a single from Sable, and it ended up scoring 1 run from third base. And Rave from second was rounding third, tried to come in and score, was thrown out at the plate. So that'll do it from us here at the end of the 7th inning. It's 7-3 Chatham. We head to the top of the 8th. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back in the top half of the 8th inning, as there are a couple of changes. First of all, a new pitcher in for the Chatham Anglers. That is Reeves Martin. Comes on in relief for Zach Knoll.
Number 52, Reeves Martin out of the University.
And Reeves Martin has a 9 ERA, has allowed 3 earned runs, 4 total, in 3 innings of work. As the Mariners will send the 2, 3, and 4 hitters to the plate, Aaron Shunk, Andre Lipsius, and Alex Tappan. 7-3 Chatham in the top of the 8th inning. They added an extra run back in the bottom half of the 7th inning. As the Mariners' bats start to come alive late in tonight's contest, but unless they're able to put together a big rally in the 8th and 9th, it may be a little too late. And the first pitch to Aaron Shunk is swung on and fouled off to the netting behind home plate. Count 0-1 on Shunk. Now through those 3 innings of work, it's 2 walks, 5 strikeouts from Reeves Martin. So 2 walks is a little high. Again, very small sample size. 5 strikeouts shows good stuff. 0-1 pitch misses off the outside corner, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Cinzarella. Glad to have you with us this evening, as the Mariners trail in Game 1 of the divisional semifinals 7-3 in the top of the 8th inning. The 1-1 delivery. Swung on a high, pop-up foul behind home plate, and the count 1-2.
Especially now, trailing a couple of runs, you have the harder order coming up. It's in the 8th inning. This is where you think if the Mariners get a couple of runs, it's going to start here.
The 1-2 pitch, cut on a high, pop-up again, foul towards the same spot. Out of play, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the Mariners are going to get their bats going with the 2, 3, and 4 spots coming up. There's no better spot than right now, especially in the top of the 8th inning. The 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed, struck him out. Reeves Martin gets a big strikeout on Aaron Shunk, and there's 1 away in the top of the 8th.
The first baseman, number 13, Andre Lipsius.
And Shunk just really hasn't had his day tonight. He is 0 for 4 now with 3 punch-outs. A guy that has been really almost the heart and soul for this Mariners team, that if you need a base hit, he's one of the guys to go to, one of the couple players on this team to go to. This hasn't had his way tonight.
First pitch to Lipsius. At the letters for strike 1. Lipsius is 1 for 3 this evening. Grounded out to first, grounded out to short, and singled back in the 6th. 0-1 delivery is cut on and fouled off behind home plate, and the count 0-2. Mariners bats have been there at points. They have had 6 hits and 3 runs. Tappan has 1 of the base hits. He had an RBI single back in the top of the 1st inning. Eichhoff with a double. Passatempo with a single. Casals with a single. And Tanner Morris with the other single. The 0-2 pitch, cut on and missed, struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts from Reeves Martin.
Right fielder, number 29, Alex Tappan.
That's 7 strikeouts in 3 2/3. Yeah, that kind of stuff. You're able to retire batters quite quickly.
Yeah, that number is definitely going to jump off the page when you first read his stat line, and he's showing his stuff here. You mentioned before, back-to-back punch-outs now.
The first pitch misses low to Alex Tappan. Count 1 ball and no strikes, and the cleanup hitter for the Harwich Mariners. As I mentioned earlier, he singled back in the 1st inning, had a very hard flyout in the 4th, and struck out in the 6th. The 1-0 delivery on the outside corner, and the count 1-1. You know, things go slightly differently over the past couple of innings. Score could be very different as well. It's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on a high, pop up in foul territory, and it's going to get its way into the seats. And the count 1-2. Looked like for some time that Blake Sable, the first baseman, may have a play on that ball in foul territory. but he ran out of room. The 1-2 pitch, swung on, line drive towards center field. The center fielder, Rave, takes a step back and makes the catch for the final out of the inning. Another very hard hit ball from Alex Tappan, but it's right at the center fielder to end the top of the 8th inning. The Mariners go down in order 1-2-3 at the end of 7.5. It's 7-3 Chatham. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 8th inning from Veterans Field. It's 7-3 Harwich as the first pitch to Michael Bush is swung on and missed. Luke Scherzer back out there on the mound again in the bottom of the 8th inning. He's already gone 4 innings of work. Started off in the 4th inning, coming on in relief for Ricky DeVito. The 0-1 pitch on the inside corner, and the count 0-2. And Michael Bush, who has been ever so dangerous this season, digs back in from the left side. First, the 0-2 pitch, runs inside, ends up hitting him on the foot. That is the 4th hit batsman by the Harwich Mariners pitching staff this evening. 3 of them from Ricky DeVito, and they all came in 1 inning. It was in the 3rd inning when Bush was hit, and then Jones and McCann were both hit by pitches. And it's all been by curveballs. It hasn't been any fastballs that have gotten away. It's been the curveballs, and it's tougher to control a curveball, especially when it's down in the dirt, and sometimes it only misses by 8 inches, but that's right where the foot is. And there's a runner on first base with no outs. And the first pitch misses low for ball 1. A check swing from Torkelson. They motion down to first base. The first base umpire, Rick Antonio, says he holds up.
And most of the hit-by pitches today have just been by curveballs that just have bitten too much at the hitter.
1-0 delivery misses low, and the count 2 balls and no strikes.
And most of them are left-handers, too, because since we've had all right-handed pitchers, I mean, Greg Jones, a switch hitter, got hit from the left side. McCann got hit. He's a left-handed hitter. And Bush got hit. He's a left-handed hitter.
The 2-0 delivery. Breaking ball in the inside corner, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike on Torkelson. Torkelson, of course, one of the top hitters in college baseball this past season. Led the league in home runs, was second in OPS only to Andrew Vaughn, who won the Golden Spikes Award. Played on Team USA. And these are feats that are not accomplished very frequently by freshmen. Has a 2-1 delivery. Misses outside in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. And each of the last 2 times, Scherzer has walked Torkelson. And behind in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. And you have to wonder, Now, is he really just trying to pitch away from Torkelson and avoid him at all costs? Mariners trail this game by 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 7-3 Chatham. Scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning, added 2 more in the bottom of the 3rd, and 1 more run in the bottom of the 4th inning. That put Chatham up 5-1, and then have traded runs back and forth with Harwich in both the 6th and 7th. And it's a 7-3 Anglers lead. 3-1 pitch. Breaking ball on the outside corner, and the count 3-2 on Torkelson. Bush off first base, no outs. Bottom of the 8th inning. And the home plate umpire calls time as Torkelson steps out of the batter's box and digs back in. The 3-2 pitch. In there, and the throw down to second is going to go into center field, so it's a strike 3 on Torkelson, but advancing all the way to third base is Michael Bush. It was not a very loud call from the home plate umpire, Merzel. I couldn't quite hear what he said, but he did say strike 3 on Torkelson, so Torkelson strikes out. The throw over down to second base as the runner Bush was going goes into center field, and as a result, Bush goes all the way over to third base. And the head coach of the Harwich Mariners, Steve Engler, will walk out to the mound. And Scherzer has been very impressive, has gone 74 pitches. Pitched 4 1/3 innings of work, allowed just 1 earned run. And the Mariners will make a move to the bullpen. We'll step aside in the bottom of the 8th and sort things out when we come back. It's 7-3 Chatham. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back in the bottom of the 8th inning from Veterans Field. 7-3 Chatham. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. New pitcher in for the Harwich Mariners is John Kleins, a left-handed pitcher out of VMI, Virginia Military Institute.
The designated hitter, number 10, Colin
Runner on third base is Michael Bush as the Chatham Anglers look to add on another run in the bottom of the 8th inning. The entire Mariners infield is in, trying to keep this at a 4-run game.
Klein's his first appearance and his last pitch against Chatham and Harwich on July 31st when 2 1/3, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 2 walks, and 1 punch-out.
First pitch from Kleins. Breaking ball in there for strike 1 and the count 0-1.
And that was the appearance when Klein started off pretty well, ran some trouble, but then finished strong.
The 0-1 pitch misses low, and it's going to get away from Logan Driscoll. Trotting home to score is Bush. It's 8-3 Chatham. And that's a big run as it extends their lead to 5. And the Mariners only have 1 inning to go, of course, in the top of the 9th. That's going to be quite difficult to mount a 5-run comeback in the top of the 9th inning. So 1 away, count 1 ball and 1 strike. As Simpson digs back in from the left side. The 1-1 pitch. This is low and outside on the count. 2 balls and 1 strike on Simpson. The 2-1 pitch misses low and in the count. 3 balls and 1 strike on Simpson. Base paths empty, 1 out in the top of the 9th inning, a 6-3 Chatham Anglers lead. The 3-1 delivery. Fastball on the inside corner, and the count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. The 3-2 pitch runs low and inside, and John Klein starts his outing with a walk issued to Colin Simpson.
Number 31, Ashton McGee.
And Ashton McGee with 1 away in the bottom of the 8th inning. And McGee has struggled this season for the Chatham Anglers. He's hitting just 140 in 43 at-bats. Squares around a bunt and bunts foul on the first pitch from Kleins. The 0-1 pitch swung on and missed in the count. No balls and 2 strikes on McGee. 1 away in the bottom of the 8th inning. A run in already for the Anglers as they lead this ball game 8-3. The 0-2 pitch misses low and in the dirt. And all of a sudden, Simpson off first, throw down to first base. Oh, it's not quite in time. A very large secondary lead from Simpson after the ball got away from Driscoll for a half second. Driscoll found it, and then Simpson realized, well, my lead's pretty big. I better scurry back to first. And it was a quick throw down to first base, but not quite in time to get Simpson. So, 1 away in the bottom of the 8th inning. Simpson leads off first base. McGee from the left-handed batter's box. The 1-2 pitch runs low and in the count 2-2.
And that was a crazy play over there because also Simpson decided not to slide back into first base. So Lipsius just kept applying the tag down or kept the tag on the standing up. Simpson almost fell off the bag as well with all the momentum he had.
The 2-2 pitch from Kleins. In there for strike 3. A very, very late motion from Jeff Merzel. It took about 2 steps back, waited for 3 more seconds, and then he rings him up. So they're 2 away in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Harwich Mariners trail the Chatham Anglers 8-3. Chatham has not had the big inning we've mentioned all year long. I think they usually do tonight. 8 runs spread out over 6 innings. Runner goes. Pitch misses low, throw down a second is in time to get Simpson. So that will do it for the bottom of the 8th inning. The Chatham Anglers tack on yet another run and lead at 8-3. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. top of the 9th inning from Veterans Field as the Harwich Mariners trail the Anglers by 5 runs. It's the 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up for the Harwich Mariners. Logan Driscoll, Nate Eichhoff, and Steven Passatempo. As Reeves Martin returns for his 2nd inning of work.
And Driscoll, who is not recorded a hit today, but he's been robbed of a couple base hits. I would think maybe 2 out of 3 of those. He's gotten some good barrel to the ball. Obviously, a line out to center that Rave took away, and then a fly ball his last time out to right center. It was almost a home run.
And the first pitch misses upstairs for ball 1 on Logan Driscoll. Count 1-0 on the left-handed hitter. The 1-0 offering. This is low and inside on Logan Driscoll in the count. 2 balls and no strikes. The top of the 9th inning, the Mariners scored 1 run in the top of the 1st. They led 1-0. In the bottom of the 2nd, Chatham came back and took a 2-1 lead. They've been leading ever since. The 2-0 delivery is a fastball right down the middle for strike 1. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike. The other Mariners runs came in the 6th and in the 7th. In the 6th inning, it was an RBI single from Danny Casals. I beg your pardon, that was in the 7th inning. In the 6th inning, it was Ben Norman who came around to score. Count 3 balls and 1 strike now on Logan Driscoll. The 3-1 pitch swung on and a high chopper over towards second base. Fielded by Bush. He'll throw to first, and there is 1 away in the top of the 9th inning.
Well, now it just brings the chances for our Mariners to come back down just a little bit more. There is still a chance here with 1 out in the 9th inning, but odds are a lot slimmer than they were just 1 batter ago.
It's Nate Eichhoff who digs in from the left side. The entire Mariners bullpen is back to the Mariners dugout as the first pitch is in there for strike 1. That dugout is very crowded. Everybody aside from Nate Eichhoff and Steven Passatempo is either in it or on that front railing as the 0-1 pitch is swung on and fouled off behind home plate in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Eichhoff, the 6th hitter in the Mariners order, digs in from the left side. He's followed by Steven Passatempo. Passatempo still very new to Cape Cod as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and a high chopper over towards first base. Sabo plays it on a long hop and touches on first. There are 2 away. And the Anglers are 1 out away from winning game 1 of the divisional semifinals. This was a very important game for the Harwich Mariners, especially with their ace and Ricky DeVito going, but he just didn't quite get DeVito's normal stuff as the first pitch to Passatempo misses upstairs for ball 1. As his curveball did not have the normal accuracy that we usually see it has. 1-0 delivery, fastball at the knees for strike 1, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike on Passatempo. The 1-1 delivery swung on, a high fly ball towards right field. Back to the track, it's going to one-hop the wall. Passatempo is held to a long single as Torkelson did a very nice job out in right field playing that ball. And Passatempo took one of the wider turns that I've seen in a long time. He was well out onto that foul, the grass in foul territory, maybe 3 or 4 feet onto that grass. And by the time he made the turn, Torkelson had already thrown the ball in.
Well, it was a hard hit ball anyway, out off against the right field wall out there. And since it was so hard hit and Torkelson was right on the knob of the ball the whole time, it was just held to a long single.
And the first pitch to Casals is swung on, a high fly ball out towards right center field. Passatempo rounding second. All of a sudden, he may be caught. No, he slides in safely. Oh, he tripped himself up between second base and third base. He looked like he was going to be caught over at third, but it was not a great throw from the left fielder McGee in towards third base, and the shortstop Greg Jones did not recognize that Passatempo had tripped, and as a result, he did not do a relay throw to third base. He just let the ball sort of hop in, and it took a while for that ball to roll into third base, and eventually Passatempo dove in safely. So, runners on first and third, 2 outs for the Harwich Mariners. Back to the 9-hitter, Ben Norman.
I think he thought he was going to hold up, and then he realized he was already too far off second base and had to commit over towards third base.
The first pitch in there for strike one on Norman. And that's right, again, because you don't want to risk that play under almost any circumstances trying to get to third base, because the position of Passatempo is almost completely meaningless, because the only run that matters is that tying run. All runs prior to that, you just want to make sure they're not outs, as the 0-1 pitch is swung on and missed from Ben Norman, and he's all of a sudden behind in the count 0-2. So Norman digs back in from the left side. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. The 0-2 pitch is low and in the dirt. And advancing over to second base is Danny Casals. Again, you do not want to risk anything when you have when you're in the bottom of the 9th inning and you're down a number of runs, because the only run that again matters is that tying run, and the tying run is a couple batters away right now for the Harwich Mariners. So the last thing you want to do is run yourself into out, because every single run before that is just one run that makes you closer. You don't want to risk, recording the final out or scoring a run that makes it a 3-run ball game. The 1-2 pitch swung on and missed. So that will do it from Game 1 of the divisional semifinals from Veterans Field, as the Chatham Anglers are now 7-0 against the Harwich Mariners this season. The Mariners did not have their normal loss to the Chatham Anglers. The normal loss to Chatham Anglers this season has been a big inning that puts the game out of reach. The Mariners have been leading in a number of games versus the Anglers this season. It was not so tonight. They led for just an inning and a half before the Anglers put up 2 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning and added 2 more in the bottom of the 3rd. It was just base runner after base runner after base runner in the bottom of the 3rd inning. In the bottom of the 2nd, it was the 2-run home run from Kyle McCann. And just when Ricky DeVito had finally worked himself out of the 3rd inning, he starts the 4th inning, and it's a solo home run from Blake Sable. And that was the end of his night. He had a fastball that was working tonight for the most part. It was mid-90s, 94, 95, and he even touched 97 once. But the curveball, well, it worked from time to time, and it was breaking. He did not have control over the breaking ball tonight. It was oftentimes inside. He ended up hitting 3 batters with it. He also walked a pair of batters, and when you're walking that many guys and you're hitting that many guys, you can't be getting 5 free passes over the course of 3 innings. All of a sudden, the runners are just going to start pouring in.
Yeah, I think he had maybe the curveball for the first inning or 2, but it just got out of hand, started hitting a couple guys, and that's what really was the difference in this ball game. And the hit-com was 9-8 in favor of Chatham again. It was just the free passes and the hit-by pitches and a couple other factors that ended up giving Chatham this ball game. I mean, I think both sides is almost even, except for the run column. Obviously 8-3 win. So it's a big win for Chatham, and they showed their bats as well. A couple long balls in there, 3 home runs on the evening. I mean, they were just the normal Chatham that we've seen this whole year. Besides we mentioned before in the 9th inning, where the big inning happens for Chatham. It really was just Harwich played catch up for most of this game. Obviously, they had the 1-0 lead and a 2-run home run by McCann. Then after that, in the 2nd inning, they were down the rest of this game.
Well, they were. They tried to fight back a little bit in the 6th inning when it was a 5-1 lead for the Chatham Anglers. The Mariners cut it to 5-2, and all of a sudden, things start to look a little bit more positive for the Harwich Mariners. And that was momentarily, though. The Mariners had a base runner in Ben Norman, and then the very next batter, Tanner Morris, singles as well. And all of a sudden, you start to think, well, it's 5-1, put a couple runners on base. Maybe things start to go well, but Tanner Morris tries to go for second base on that next play and is thrown out at second base. And instead of having runners on second or third, or instead of having runners on first and third, It's just one runner on third with one out. And I think that was, to an extent, a turning point in this ball game where the Mariners, you have a runner who's caught going to second base, and you could have some sort of a rally starting, but instead you have one away.
You know, it's definitely a big out, and especially when you're down, you can't run into outs. Now, it was a very heads-up play by the shortstop, Greg Jones, to throw over towards second base. When he cut the throw off, it was going towards third. And, I mean, I've seen what Morris is doing there, but you got to tip your cap to Greg Jones, the shortstop, with the heads-up play. And, you know, it's just it's a tough game for the Mariners, kind of all around. You know, it didn't really feel like they had control of this game on any side of it. It just felt like every time the Mariners put up a couple runs to try to get back into it, Chenham came right back and counterpunched with a couple runs of their own.
Well, the Mariners added another run in the 7th inning after it was a balk that brought Ben Norman home in the bottom of the 6th. And the 7th inning looked just as promising, if not more promising, for the Harwich Mariners than the 6th inning. After a fly out from Driscoll to the warning track let things out, it was a double from Nate Eichhoff, a single from Steven Passatempo, and then another single from Danny Casals, and all of a sudden, the Harwich Mariners have their bats going. You have a couple runners on base. It's a 3-run game, and the tying run comes to the plate in Ben Norman.
Yeah, there are a couple guys you just mentioned, Passatempo and Casals. There are a couple of highlights to take from this game, and we'll have to see if Passatempo's back in the lineup yesterday. A guy that added 2 hits on the evening. And 2 singles, and Casals also an RBI, and it's just the same theme this whole game. You just thought the Mariners just might get back into the nick of things, but again, just the anger is just overpowering with the offense. Even though their bullpen was a little shaky, they're able to close things out here at Veterans.
That's right. I think that another thing we should focus on tonight is the Mariners bullpen, because the Harwich Mariners bullpen tonight, at least from my perspective, was quite good. After DeVito comes into tonight's game, he goes 3 innings of work. He struggles all the way through. Scherzer comes into tonight's ballgame. He's going to have a stat line that's not pretty, but I thought his outing was outstanding tonight. He's going to get charged with 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks. He goes 4 1/3 innings of work, and he eats up a lot of innings for the Harwich Mariners in a game where the Mariners were down by a significant margin. And you come back, and it's a really solid 4th inning from him. You get another solid 5th inning from him. And then in the 6th and 7th, a couple runs come home for the Chatham Anglers. And, it's a game that Scherzer, he thought he had good control, and he limited the hits, and he got a lot of outs. But ultimately, the Mariners were unable to hold it, as they're unable to come back in tonight's game as they fall 8-3.
Yeah.
And looking, I guess, now from the bullpen tonight towards tomorrow, what do you expect out of the Mariners? And not only the bats, I guess you talked about a couple of guys who were stars tonight who may find themselves in the lineup tomorrow in Passatempo and Casals. And then not only that, but then you look on towards the pitching side of things. A couple of options emerge. You have someone like Poitamani who may come and start. I'm thinking Will Matheson's definitely a very good candidate for tomorrow's start. And then, now that it's an elimination game tomorrow, I would think the Mariners are only going to go with their top arms. And should Matheson run into trouble, he'd come out of the game immediately.
It's a big perspective for both sides here between Holiday and Coach Engler. Depending, because now if they've lost tonight, you got to put some of those studs out that you got tomorrow with Caleb Freeman down the bullpen. You're thinking that he's got to go tomorrow at least out of the bullpen. I mean, you can't. There is for the Mariners there are. And for lack of a better word, there is no tomorrow for the Mariners being tomorrow. There obviously is a game tomorrow, but they got to have everybody, all hands on deck pretty much. You really can't save a pitcher. It's almost coming down to like the Buck Showalter decision in 2016 wildcard game where Zach Britton was stuck in the bullpen down there. You can't have a situation like that where you the next day everyone's questioning, well, what if they did this? What if they did that? Why did they leave one of their best pitchers down in the bullpen area? So that's just something that you got to wonder. And let's see if Coach Engler will roll out with tomorrow.
I spoke with Freeman last week. He said that he may be going on Tuesday. We'll have to see, or maybe going in game 2. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition or not. But then again, Kirby, who many people thought would be going in tonight's game, doesn't go. And I think the number one reason for not pitching Kirby tonight is so they can go to Kirby tomorrow. Because if you're down by 5 runs in a game, you don't want to say waste, but in a way it would be sort of using his arm in a game where it's not necessary to use his arm. Tomorrow's game, whether Matheson goes 2 innings, whether he goes 6 innings, it all sort of depends on how he's going to pitch. But I think from there, I would think the Mariners are probably going to go with Kirby and see how long he can go, and depending on what the score is in the ball game, I think that's going to ultimately see whether Kirby stays in the game long term or whether they go to Freeman, because I think in an ideal world for the Harwich Mariners, they only had to use Kirby tomorrow, and they can push Freeman back to Monday, and then they could have both Freeman and Kirby going back-to-back days out of the bullpen. But that, of course, all still remains to be determined. If the Mariners are up by 1 run, I would think you're probably going to see Kirby and then Freeman back-to-back in the game, because they want to do everything they can to notch a win versus these Chatham Anglers and force that Game 3. Because once you get to Game 3, you never know what's going to happen. So that's, I think, the big takeaway for the Harwich Mariners. They're going to have to fend off 2 elimination games now, and that starts tomorrow night. And we're still not quite sure who the starting pitcher will be for the Harwich Mariners. So that'll about do it for us here at Veterans Field. For my broadcasting partner, Thomas Inzarella, I'm Austin Rooney saying so long for Veterans Field. The Harwich Mariners fall in Game 1 of the divisional semifinals 8-3. You can catch us on Mariners Minute after the game. And back tomorrow for tomorrow night's 5:30 start. We'll be on the air at 5:15 with Mariners Minute pregame show prior to that. So again, from Austin Rooney and Thomas Inzarella, we say so long from Veterans Field as the Anglers win this game 8-3.